is one of the premier teams in all of South Carolina. Byrnes is led by Old Dominion commit Schuler Bentley, who set a state record for touchdown passes last season. He looks to pick up where he left off. It's Byrnes and Apopka next on ESPN.
This is where it begins. The birthplace of a dream and the culmination of 4 years of hard work. This is the onset of a new journey. The spotlight grows brighter. The moment is now. It's gut check time. Time to leave everything out on the field. Time to separate yourself from the pack.
Looks into the back of the end zone. Julio goes up. Pulls it down. Touchdown. Back to throw. Pumps, wants the deep ball. He's got Marquise Lee on the fly. It's a touchdown.
Establish a reputation and prove you're a star. Here, Friday night heroes become legends. And tomorrow's household names.
Wow!
The future starts here.
Welcome to the Geico ESPN High School Kickoff. High School Kickoff weekend continues over the course of 3 days on the ESPN networks. We're going to feature 13 games, 26 teams from 11 states. Today here at Nixon Field, it is Byrnes from South Carolina against Apopka from the great state of Florida. And Ishroff here with former Colorado State quarterback Kelly Stauffer. And Kelly, both these programs used to winning. They have won. They come into today with an unbelievable pedigree.
Yeah, and they win for a reason. Both programs firmly believe that their approach to football is the best, but they're also extremely well schooled in their approaches on both sides of the ball. You can see there, the record is unbelievable.
Apopka's head coach is Rick Darlington. His son is one of the marquees in this game, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see out of Zach the quintessential dual threat type of quarterback. He runs it extremely well. He also is a good thrower of the football, but when he runs it, he's a tailback with the football. He takes care of the ball in the passing game, an accurate passer. Their dual threat ability moved them to a new level last year when they relied on this young man's dual threat ability.
Zach committed to Nebraska. He has Martez Ivy blocking for him.
Yeah, out at the anchor, 6'6", 285, Martez Ivy. And remember, Apopka, they want to run the football first, and this is the guy at the point of attack. He's big, he's massive, but he also has a nasty way of blocking.
The head coach for Byrnes is Bobby Bentley, and he's got a couple of Bentleys in his garage. Sons Schuler and Jake. Schuler's the starting quarterback who put up eye-popping numbers a year ago.
Yeah, and a totally different guy than Zach Darlington on the other side. A pocket passer, a very smooth stroke, very good protector of the football as well. Check this out, 59 touchdown passes, only 13 picks.
There's Apopka head coach Rick Darlington. He won the Class 8A state championship in Florida a season ago. That is the highest classification of football in the Sunshine State. Bobby Bentley in his first season back at Byrnes. His second stint with the Rebels. He was here from 95 to 2006. Won 4 straight titles from 2002 to 2005. Now back in this community of Duncan, South Carolina as the head coach for Byrnes.
And Nish, what impresses me about these programs is we talk to the head coaches, they firmly believe that their approach to football is the best. And these kids are well schooled in their respective philosophies.
They are jacked up here at Nixon Field for the start of the season. Week 0 about to get underway. Byrnes in the red as the wind blows the football off the tee. Apopka will receive to start. They're in the visiting white. First time that Byrnes has brought out these red uniforms, so a special occasion here in Duncan, South Carolina.
And I think it's indicative that Apopka won the toss and wants the football. They believe that their offense is one of the best in the entire country at the high school level.
J.J. Simmons fields the kick for Apopka across the 20, and he's tripped up at about the 23-yard line. A 19-yard return. Zach Darlington and this Apopka offense goes to work. Darlington committed to Nebraska, a true dual threat guy, Kelly.
Yeah, and he is a runner of the football in a physical way. He has kind of a nasty streak when he runs the football. He likes to run it up inside. He takes very good care of the ball, but he's also an efficient passer. I think his passing is actually slightly underrated.
There's the fly sweep on first down. It's snuffed out by Byrnes. Nice tackle by Emil Lyles. Nothing doing for Daquan Isom.
And right off the bat, you see that Byrnes really wants to set a physical tone on the line of scrimmage. Apopka has the reputation of running the football in a physical manner, and Bobby Bailey told us that his team really has to set a physical tone right away.
First passing attempt for Darlington. That's complete. Ray Smith breaks the tackle, and he gets across the 35-yard line, tackled by Jawan Cavanis. It's a gain of 15 yards. First down.
And Apopka was really a single-wing team through about mid-season last year, and then when they added and relied more on Zach Darlington's physical ability and throwing the football, that's the difference that you see in this offense today.
Power eye this time on first down. And not much there. Daquan Isom fell after a loss of a yard, 2nd and 11.
And Anish, what we're going to see out of Apopka offensively is, I talked about them being a single wing team a year ago. They would essentially snap it to Zach Darlington, and they had a running back in the backfield with him, sometimes 2 running backs. They usually use a tight end, but they do a lot more formationing than what we'll see out of Byrnes. But the intention, number 1, is to run the football.
4 receiver set on 2nd down and 11. Darlington with a screen pass to Isom. Trying to get out of the backfield. He does across the 40-yard line before he's bumped out of bounds. A gain of 5. It'll bring up 3rd and 6.
Isom is going to be a key for them this entire season because they lost a really good running back. Jedrick Blocker was the main ball carrier a year ago, and Isom is really unproven. As you can see, he's a very good receiver out of the backfield, but they also need him to be a downhill runner in that Apopka run game.
He's only about 5'7", $170, and it's Isom, the running back, as they go 3 receivers to the left. Darlington's going to keep it. He has a seam across the middle. Darlington inside the Byrnes 40-yard line, tackled by Tyreek Lyles. A gain of 19 for the Nebraska commit.
Darlington is by far the best runner of the football on this team and probably on the field today, and that's exactly where they like him. He's a physical guy. He's not a guy that's looking to go to the edge with the football. Right down the middle that particular time.
We'll talk about it throughout the game. A lot of similarities in this Apopka offense to the one Darlington will see next year in Nebraska if he stays true to his commit. Isom in motion. Darlington keeps it again. And right back up the middle. It looked like the same play.
Yeah, and that's what they will do. A lot of times offenses, if they're successful on one side, they will essentially flip the formation and run the same thing. But that was kind of a power read type of look where you get the action going outside. Darlington is reading the defensive end. Defensive end jumps outside on that running back. Then the quarterback gets up inside. And remember, he's not bashful when he runs the ball.
6'2", 210. Darlington, he's got some girth to him. And our first penalty marker of the afternoon. Jerry Wellmaker, the head referee in today's game.
Prior to snap, false start, offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Second and 7 now becomes 2nd down and 12. The guy you want to look out for if you're going to watch the line of scrimmage for Apopka, big number 77, Martez Ivey, one of the best tackles in the junior class according to the ESPN Junior 300. Mighty blocking on that right side. That's a quick out, complete to Jacob Whitrock. He's about 4 yards or so shy of the first down. It'll bring up third down.
That's the part of Apopka's offense that really evolved. We saw about mid-season last year, they were struggling to some extent, got off to a slow start. They were 1-2, won 12 in a row, but it's the passing ability of Darlington that they relied on about mid-season on through that championship game.
33-yard line, third down. Probably 4-down territory here. Chandler Cox into the game at quarterback. Spins, powers his way across the middle for an Apopka first down. He is a jack of all for Rick Darlington and this Blue Darter team.
When we referred to this earlier, the power read that we saw the Blue Darters run earlier, we see it out of Nebraska. And initially you will see the blocking down on the right side of the line of scrimmage, and then the guard is going to pull and block that linebacker. The read, in this case, Taylor Martinez is reading that defensive end up the field, quarterback keeps it and gets down the middle of the field, and we've already seen Zach Darlington gain 2 plays on that exact same play they get from Nebraska.
Timeout. Apopka, Florida. Their first charge timeout.
Apopka takes a timeout. So will we. The Blue Darters driving. 1st and 10 from the 22 when we come back.
Geico ESPN High School Kickoff is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Under Armour, the most innovative brand in all of sports.
With Kelly Stauffer and Ish Shroff, that's the Byrnes War Room. They have some film study in there yesterday. Big deal for the kids. Put the sticker on the helmet. We got to witness that. Moments ago, we got to witness Zach Darlington at his finest.
Yeah, we talk about the power read, and basically the quarterback is going to read the defensive end, and he gets upfield on this running back, then Darlington is just going to pull it and get right down the middle of the field. Defensive end upfield, quarterback up inside, and you really get the best of both worlds. The name of it is power read. You get the read outside with the zone run, and then you get the power part of it where the quarterback actually gets a guard escorting him up inside. Very well executed by Apopka.
Darlington on this current drive, 22 yards on the ground, 29 through the air, 3 of 3 passing, as advertised. Ray Smith in motion. Darlington, downfield wide open, James Kreider. Make it to Quan Isom on the reception for the touchdown.
Go ahead and let that roll, guys. It's a play-action pass, and you can see Isom coming out of the backfield and then getting down the outside, down the sideline, and it very well executed. And so many times the defense will drop a running back in the backfield, and they just dropped him in coverage right there.
Apopka on the board first. Isom with the touchdown catch from 22 yards. Extra point by Tyler LaRue. Good. 9 plays, 75 yards. That's how Apopka draws it up. Methodical execution. The Blue Darters score on their opening drive. Zach Darlington to Daquan Isom, a 22-yard touchdown pass, and Apopka, ranked 22nd in the nation by USA Today, scores on its opening drive. Key rule differences in the high school game: quarter length, 12 in high school, it's 15 in college. Kickoffs are from the 40, and the goalposts are a little wider. Tyler LaRue to kick it off for Apopka. And this is Lyrics Klug from his own 5. And Klug stood up at the 22-yard line by Eric Jackson. He's also on that Apopka defensive line, something we'll get into here on his first Byrnes drive. But Schuler Bentley, the quarterback for this Rebel offense for Byrnes, he's committed to Old Dominion, a 3-star recruit. Pocket passer, the Gatorade Player of the Year in South Carolina a season ago.
And his favorite quarterback is Drew Brees, and you actually see some similarities. 6'1", 195 pounds, pocket passer, but an incredibly smooth stroke as a passer.
Bentley to the air on first down, and that's completed to Shaden Metters for a gain of 4 yards. This Byrnes receiving core, Metters certainly part of it. So is Taven Richardson, number 11. It's as good as you'll see at the prep level.
It's a basketball team. I mean, they're long. They go up and fight for the football. They're big-bodied guys, and trust me, Schuler Bentley knows how to use those guys outside.
On the ground here on 1st and 10, or make it 2nd down. Scoreboard was wrong. Isaiah Hill picks up 4.
And Anish, that's what Byrnes wants to do a little bit better job of this year, is running the football. They've made a concerted effort in camp, and Isaiah Hill is that guy. He has to be the thumper that gets downhill in a hurry.
On 3rd and 2, Bentley dumps it off, and he'll drop that one. So now 4th down coming up for Bobby Bentley and Byrnes.
And Bobby Bentley's not opposed to going for it on 4th down, but usually it's when you cross the 50, and right now Schuler is saying, hey, let's keep the offense out here on this play.
And it appears, wow, they will.
Well, we got the impression Bobby Bentley is throwing the gauntlet down, doing everything. It's 4th and 1 right here.
On 4th and 1. And that's a quarterback keeper. That was Jake Bentley.
We talked about Jake Bentley getting on the field in more of a red zone package, kind of a wildcat quarterback. 6'4", 210, 4th and 1. Bobby Bentley goes for it early and very successful.
And you see Schuler Bentley coming to the sidelines, and his brother Jake, a freshman, in the game for Byrnes. Jake's going to keep it, and he has nowhere to go. Tackled by Johnny Robinson for a loss of 2.
And I would expect Jake Bentley to just come in and kind of change up type situations. He's a freshman, although he has a very high IQ. He has a different skill set than his older brother. He's not really a pocket passer as much as a true dual threat guy.
And Jake already getting some attention from colleges, has an offer from Auburn. Schuler Bentley back into the game on 2nd and 12. Bentley has time. Throws downfield for Metters. Incomplete, a flag on the play. J.J. Simmons was covering Metters.
And J.J. Simmons had great coverage. I can't believe that this would be pass interference on him. It's almost like Metters probably pushed off. I did not see Simmons interfere with that pass at all. And they're going to call it on Metters for pushing off right as that ball was getting there. Great coverage, great position by J.J. Simmons on that play. Anish, that's a matchup we're going to have to watch all day. It's a big receiving core, a long receiving core by Byrnes, and undersized defensive backs by Apopka.
You look at Byrnes' top 2 receivers, Richardson and Metters, both next-level prospects, 6'4", 6'2".
Pass interference on the offense. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Now, interesting to note why that penalty was declined. In high school football, offensive pass interference does not result in a loss of down. So Apopka elects to make it 3rd and 12 for Byrnes. Three-man rush. Bentley throws back in the direction of Metters, and he picks up a Byrnes first down. They went right back to that same matchup on Simmons.
And Metters ran a really nice route. He snapped the out route off. He had zone coverage on the back end, but watch the timing and the smooth stroke right there. One shuffle step, and then the ball placement is impeccable.
Hurry up offense. Quick screen to Metters across the 45. Bumped out of bounds at about the 44-yard line, a gain of 6. 2nd down and 4.
And Anish, you talked about it. The difference between Byrnes, or one of actually the many difference, Byrnes offense versus Apopka, is this hurry-up aspect. They want to get a playoff every 12 seconds if they can.
Metters has been the go-to guy early, lined up at the bottom of your screen. Three-man rush again from Apopka. Strong run that time by Isaiah Hill, and he's going to be close to a Byrnes first down.
And Isaiah Hill is a big back, 6 feet, over 200 pounds. He was the 3rd leading rusher a year ago, but they're counting on him to have a stepped-up running game this season. They felt like a couple of times last year, they got in matchups that weren't favorable in the passing game, but they could not run it effectively.
3rd and short, 10th play of the drive coming up. And now a timeout from Byrnes as Schuler Bentley wants to talk it over with the sideline.
Timeout. Byrnes.
A goal F350 over by the baseball field. You need to come move your truck. A gold F350.
Don't forget, ESPN continues to showcase elite high school talent. High school football kickoff weekend continues at 3:30 Eastern. Lincoln takes on South Gwinnett. That's on ESPN at 3:30. University Christian takes on Highlands out of Kentucky. That's over on ESPNU. Last night, Ensworth from Tennessee knocked off Trinity 27-26, and Gilman knocking off fellow Maryland school Good Counsel 20-14. Couple of good games last night. The action continues today and tomorrow. 13 games Friday through Sunday on the ESPN networks.
Yeah, the heart of football. I mean, we talk about recruiting being the lifeblood of college football.
Right.
High school football is the lifeblood of football, period. This is the grassroots of what the game we really, really love.
Pure, true amateurism, right?
And a great atmosphere here. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Bentley throws. That's complete to Greg McCam. And he's got another Byrnes first down, a gain of 6. Kelly, you were watching McCam yesterday in practice and then warming up today. You said he has a chance to make some plays in this game.
He does, and he's the inside receiver a lot of times. He's a good job, does a really good job between the hashes, but a positive play, Byrnes is right back up to get another play as fast as they can.
Again, the 4 receivers set. This time it's Taven Richardson. And he's taken down just shy of the 25-yard line. Richardson is an ESPN Junior 300 player. This is the first year Recruiting Nation has ranked the top 300 juniors, and Richardson listed as the 255th best junior, has offers from the likes of Arkansas, Illinois, Miami, Pittsburgh. They think he could be a big-time player at the next level.
And the way Bentley will use him is just throw him open. I mean, a receiver isn't covered if he can jump higher than the other guy, and Bentley knows that.
He's 6'4", 210, big target. Isaiah Hill to the 20-yard line, another Byrnes first down. They continue to move the chains. Robert Thomas made the stop.
And that was one of the bundle type of plays that we'll see out of Byrnes here today. You get the zone read outside, and if Bentley gets a read that doesn't give the running back the ball, he will pull it and actually run a bubble screen outside. That time, the read took him to the running back.
Bentley's pass nearly picked off. Raheem Smith had a good read on that one. It was Smith who had the interception for Apopka in the state championship game to seal the win.
And you talked about the read initiation. That's exactly what Smith did. Is he recognized it, he had diagnosed it, and then he ran up in front of that football. But Byrnes takes note of that, and the next time you will see probably the appearance of the screen, and then that receiver will turn and go up the sideline.
Najee Bowens in the game at running back for Byrnes. Bentley to the air, and he's got McCam for a touchdown.
And you saw the ball placement there. Meckham is just the inside receiver from here. What the quarterback Bentley does is he sees middle open right there. He understands that he has an inside receiver coming to the middle of the field, but the ball placement was absolutely perfect on that pass.
Greg McCam, 16 touchdowns a year ago, and he had a touchdown in 10 of the team's 14 games. They tried to go for 2. Jake Bentley could not handle the snap. Lined up for the kick. Wasn't sure if that was a design fake or just a bot snap. Either way, Byrnes comes away with 6 on its first drive of the game. Already we're seeing some offensive firepower. 7-6 your score.
Are you ready for anything? Are you ready? Are you ready to do this thing? Are
Both teams with 75-yard drives, and it's 7-6. Apopka leading Byrnes. Byrnes could not convert the extra point. It looked like it may have been a design fake, an attempt for two. Watch the holder.
Oh, I think
Jake
you're
Bentley.
absolutely right. I think Jake Bentley intended to get up with that ball and run some type of a fake, and you can see the offensive line was kind of moving that direction in high school. He has to get his knee off the ground before you run any type of a fake, but we talked to Bobby Bentley, and he was going to pull out all the stops. Don't underestimate the special teams in this. An onside kick right here, any of that type of stuff is on the table.
And there it is, Kelly, the onside kick. Byrnes has it. How about that?
We got the impression, talking with head coach Bobby Bentley throughout the week, that they were excited to play this game and they weren't going to leave anything in the bag, even though it's the first game of the year. On the ground, just trickle it. The key is here is just deception to catch the coverage team off guard. It has to go beyond the 10-yard mark. It did, and Byrnes catches it clean. Very well executed.
So they go 75 yards in 14 plays, and now the offense right back on the field. Talking to Coach Bentley, this is what he wanted. He wanted to keep that Apopka defense on the field, wear them out a little bit. Bentley under pressure on first down, and he throws it over the head of his intended receiver. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10. And there is a flag. You got to remember, if they do call intentional grounding here, looked like there was a receiver somewhat close, but in high school, even if you're out of the tackle box, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're going to call holding on Byrnes, but Anish, you're exactly right. Isaiah Hill was in the area. The quarterback was trying to throw the ball away. Make no bones about that, but you can't get outside the tackle box and throw it beyond the line of scrimmage like you can in college. They don't give high school quarterbacks that escape route.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
We haven't seen a lot of penalties today. It's been actually a pretty clean game, but both of these offenses are designed to stay on schedule. And this is the first time really that either offense, and Byrnes in this case, has been behind the chains. We'll see if they can overcome that holding penalty.
Something to watch as this game progresses. Number 15 in white, Isaiah Bueller for Apopka, paired with number 98 in white, Eric Jackson. That's a pretty good tandem of defensive ends. And how Byrnes' offensive line manages to withstand the pressure from the front three, front four of Apopka is going to go a long way to deciding this game.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's really the number one matchup. It's the defensive line. You really have potentially 3 Division I players on that defensive line of scrimmage.
Taven Richardson across the middle, has a little bit of space, and he hangs onto the ball shy of the 45-yard line. Spotted at the 43, so that's a gain of a dozen, and it'll bring up 2nd down and long.
It's the first time that we've seen Taven Richardson get his number called, coming on a slant route, a very good maintenance play. It's actually the 2nd time I think we've heard his number, but very good job of just getting him the ball where he can get yards after the catch, that particular pass.
Richardson lined up at the bottom of your screen. One of the top 300 juniors according to ESPN. Bentley looks in his direction, and they're going to wave it incomplete. Richardson couldn't stay in bounds.
You know, it's almost like Byrnes in their play calling decides which number they want to get the ball to. They have really 3 guys when you talk about McCam and Metters and now Richardson, and it's like, okay, let's give number 11 the ball a couple of times. And what weapons to have at this level.
Bentley 7 of 11, 73 yards. The touchdown pass was to McCam, and that was Anthony Ellis who jumped.
We figured into that up-tempo system. There are so many dummy signals before the ball is ever snapped.
Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You know, the defensive line of scrimmage is all about keen on the football, and that's just an early season mistake by Ellis.
So now 3rd and 16 becomes 3rd and 11 for Byrnes. And from this area, Bobby Bentley told us, you get to midfield and beyond, it's 4-down territory. Bentley throws off the fingertips of Metters. And fourth down coming up.
Raheem Smith, the safety, was the one that broke on that ball and blew up that play. The ball was a little high, but that's when your tall receivers have to understand that if the ball is high, you're going to get contacted anyway. Go up and make a play, but a very good break on the ball by Smith.
And it looked like they were looking for about, 5 or 6 there to set up fourth and a little more manageable. Now on 4th and 11, they do bring on Holden Owens in the punting unit. J.J. Simmons waiting at his own 15 for Apopka.
Remember the special teams effect. This is Jake Bentley right here, and I know that they have fake penalty. Right there, you saw it. I think the defense was either trying to call timeout.
Prior to snap, delayed game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still fourth down.
Well, now the element of surprise is gone.
You're right. I mean, we got the impression that Bobby Bentley was going to pull out all the stops, and Jake Bentley is the up back on the punt team. And I know that they have fake punts in there where he throws the football down the field. They will now put that on the back shelf and bring it back in the second half.
Owens kicks this one away. Takes a bounce at the 31. Simmons will let it roll. And Byrnes will down it at about the 17-yard line. 38-yard punt, no return. Second series for Apopka. And we talked a lot about Zach Darlington on that first drive. His mammoth offensive tackle, Martez Ivey, the 6th-ranked player in the ESPN Junior 300, being recruited by the likes of Alabama, Clemson, Florida, Florida State, Ohio State, Oklahoma. The big boys want him.
Oh, he's large, he's athletic, he's already 285 pounds, but has a frame at 6'6", where he will put on much more weight.
That's a strong run that time by Isom, and he's across the 25-yard line. A gain of 9 yards on the play.
That's an example of the complexity of what Apopka does in the run game. There are so many different formationing type things that Apopka does, and they give the defense a different look. Sometimes it's I formation. This time it's more of a diamond set in the backfield with 3 running backs with the quarterback. But there's a lot of complexity worked into this game.
This is Chandler Cox. 3 touchdowns in the state championship game, including the game winner. He picks up 2. And it's going to be an Apopka first down, so they move the chains.
And Byrnes defensively has a new coaching staff. Mo Dixon is the new defensive coordinator, and they run a 3-3-5 base defense. Essentially, they have their nickel defense in the vast majority of the time, but you can already see them recruiting more guys to that box to try to deal with this physical Apopka run game.
Here's the snap. It's to Ray Smith. Smith picks up 4, second down and 6. That takes us to the end of the first quarter. Both teams scored on their opening drives. Apopka got the scoring started. Zach Darlington to DeQuan Isom. And then Byrnes, the counter punch. Schuler Bentley, Greg McCann. Tonight on the ESPN networks, our coverage of high school football continues. Booker T. Washington, the #1 team in the land, takes on Norcross out of Georgia. That's at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Then on ESPN-U, Bonneville and Bingham. That's at 9 Eastern. And then at 10 p.m. on ESPN-2, Central from California against Valor Christian out of Colorado. Start of the second quarter here at Nixon Field in Duncan, South Carolina, alongside Kelly Stauffer and Ace Schropp. Apopka, nationally ranked, taking on Byrnes. On the ground here, this is Isom. Some nice dance moves, and he gets to the 33-yard line. He's a guy who's got some bloodlines. Remember Jeff Demps? Played for Florida, big track star, big speed guy. Well, Demps is a relative of his. Demps actually is sort of put off his NFL career a little bit, still trying to make it as a professional track star, has yet to report to Tampa Bay Bucs camp.
And Isom has a little of that speed. I don't know that he has Demps speed, but he certainly has speed, but he's also a physical runner. You could see on that last play that he broke some tackles right there.
Darlington's pass tipped and nearly picked. That was in the direction of Chandler Cox. It'll bring up 4th down.
And we've seen Chandler Cox today in a few different situations, and he's kind of like the canary in the mine shaft. What Apopka's doing offensively typically has something to do with number 10. That time he was a slot receiver and just runs inside. Very well thrown by Zach Darlington, and Cox just couldn't come down with it.
First incompletion of the game for Darlington, and now on 4th down and 4. Apopka brings in the punt team.
Hey, back up there, camera guy, please. Back him up.
Greg McCamber's got a touchdown reception in this game. Back to field the punt. Takes it and gobbled up immediately. Nice tackle there by Cox. 35-yard punt, no return. These are two of the premier programs in their respective states. Apopka won a state championship at the highest level in Florida last year. Byrnes lost in the state semifinals a season ago to Gaffney, a team that we'll see in this kickoff weekend. We saw last night, in fact. But Byrnes has won 8 of the last 11 state titles in South Carolina.
And that first quarter was extremely well played. I mean, we're talking about high school kids. You don't see colleges play that clean in week number 1.
First game, week 0 as they call it. 4-man rush this time for Apopka. Bentley throws to McCam, slips 1 tackle. And then he's finally brought down. Robert Thomas and J.J. Simmons in on the stop. A gain of 5.
And Anish, you can see that Bentley is really a rhythm quarterback. He doesn't keep the ball very long, and therefore he doesn't get a ton of pressure, and that's a great way to neutralize that defensive front for Apopka with Jackson and Greathouse and Ellis and Bueller. And he's getting rid of the ball on time. It really frustrates that defensive line of scrimmage.
Here's Hill right up the middle, and he barrels forward to the 45-yard line. It's a gain of 9 and a Byrnes first down.
And that was a quarterback zone read, but the difference is the second part of that is Bentley really isn't going to run the football as the second part of that option. They will throw it as the second part of that option, but very good on the line of scrimmage again for Byrnes.
Again, Byrnes going quickly. Here's Metters across midfield into Apopka territory. He's got a blocker in front of him. Shaden Metters all the way to the house. 55 yards.
Metters is a quick receiver outside, and Byrnes does such a good job in their screen game. They have a wide variety, and you can see the lockdown block up front by McCam is really the significant block in that, but it's the variety that the defense has to worry about. Rick Darlington, the head coach of Apopka, was certainly worried about that screen game.
And Byrnes elects to go for 2 to try to make it a 14-7 game. Bentley, back of the end zone, ball was tipped. He wanted McCam, incomplete. So 2 touchdowns for the Byrnes Rebels, but they come up empty both times on the try. Schuler Bentley, second touchdown pass of the game. Shaden Metters They call this yak, yards after catch. A Shaden Metters 55-yard touchdown reception has given Byrnes the lead against Apopka. Metters has got some offers from the likes of Old Dominion, Toledo, and Marshall. 55 yards on the score.
Yeah, one of the ways that Byrnes likes to frustrate this defensive line is actually the quick screen game. You're going to see that right here, Martin is going to pull out and get a block. McCam gets a really, really good block that potentially could have been holding. But this is the way you frustrate a good defensive line. Ball placement by the quarterback, run after the catch. You see the missed tackle right there, the potential hold by McCam. But this diverse screen game by Byrnes slows down a really, really good defensive line of scrimmage that Apopka has.
And Kelly, we talked about the advantage the Byrnes receivers have against the Apopka DBs. You look at Metters, a three-star recruit, 6'2", 180. The two guys who had a shot to get him, Robert Thomas, 5'10", 175, and J.J. Simmons, 5'7", 150.
I'm not exactly sure why this is being blown dead unless the receiver stepped out of bounds. Remember, if the ball penetrates the end zone line, the kickoff, it's automatically blown dead, but that ball didn't appear to go in the end zone to me. It's obviously a major difference than the college level. If it doesn't break the plane on the ground in college, the returner can catch it and actually return it out of the end zone. You cannot do that in high school.
Yeah, if it breaks the plane,
I would say they have to re-kick this.
During the return, we had an inadvertent whistle. The option is to re-kick. We'll replay the down.
That's a great way to handle it. I mean, it's the zero game for the officials as well, and that was just a premature whistle, and so line up and do it again. No harm, no foul.
Week 0, everyone's getting into the rhythm. Us up here, the players down on the field, even the officials have to get back into the flow of the season.
And they actually should reset the clock. The clock was at 10 minutes before that play, and now it's 9:54. The way these offenses are playing, that 6 seconds may be valuable somewhere along the way.
All right, well, Byrnes went for an onside kick once.
They were going to go for a fake punt if they wouldn't have had a delay of game.
On their first score, it looked like they wanted to go with a fake field goal, fake extra point, 2-point conversion try.
You think head coach Bobby Bentley goes to fake onside kick number 2 after they score?
Would you put it past him?
No, not at this point in time. I wouldn't.
He's got the riverboat gambler thing down.
You know what was interesting is we talked about this leading up to it. Bobby Bentley is a gunslinger.
Yeah.
And he was throwing everything out there. We saw a much more business-like approach out of Rick Darlington from Apopka.
It's the true kick. It's a line drive kick, and it goes out of bounds, so that'll be illegal procedure.
Well, this is going to be an advantage.
Kick out of bounds. On the kicking team, ball will be placed at the 35-yard line.
And you could actually have him re-kick, gaining 5 yards on that as well, but that's certainly an advantage for Apopka.
You can't help but notice just the contrast of styles offensively. You mentioned earlier both run a spread. One, though, is very deliberate, looking to churn out yards, chew up clock. And, boy, Byrnes, if you look down, they've called 2 plays. Scott's in motion. He gets the screen. He wanted to throw it. Nothing there. Byrnes read it. Avery James and Lyrics Clue led the pursuit.
It's a great job by recognizing it defensively that particular time, because you're right. This pass is going to be thrown backwards, which allows the receiver to catch it and throw again. And number 5, Isom, was absolutely all alone about 35 yards down the field. That would have been a touchdown.
2nd and 17 after a loss of 7. Simmons with nowhere to go, and the Byrnes defense playing with a little bit of purpose. 3rd and long coming up for Apopka.
Yeah, advantage Byrnes defense, and that was one of the things that Bobby Bentley talked about. Is Apopka's all about staying on schedule offensively. You saw with that methodical drive when they scored the first time they had the ball. They want to possess the ball, they get behind the chains, and now Zach Darlington is a passer, and that's where Byrnes wants Zach Darlington.
Darlington fakes it, now hands it off to Ray Smith around the left end. Smith gets a block, he's got some daylight. Ray Smith, nobody in front of him. Touchdown Apopka, no flag on the play. "72 yards, how about Darlington? Faked the pass, put the ball behind his back, and Smith took it and ran.
A modern version of the Statue of Liberty.
I was about to say it, yeah.
And Byrnes certainly thought that Apopka, Zach Darlington, was going to throw the football, but you saw the ball behind the back, and the defense simply loses track of where the valuable cargo is, and that particular time handed off to number 12, Ray Smith, and down the sidelines he goes. Very well executed once again.
The old hidden ball trick. And now they'll line up for 2. Darlington's going to keep it himself, and he stopped shy of the goal line, so the 2-point attempt, no good. Apopka leads 13-12. But on 3rd and long, it was Ray Smith, the junior, off the fake pass. 72 yards to pay dirt. Apopka back on top. We talked about Bobby Bentley on the right, pulling out some tricks. Rick Darlington on that last drive, trying some razzle-dazzle for Apopka. Didn't quite work the first time. They went with a wide receiver throw. Chandler Cox, though, was wrapped up. But then on 3rd down and 16.
Third down and forever. Great ball handling, and then Ray Smith. And look at number 10, Cox out in front. Just gets an absolute annihilation on a block. Boom, right there. Ooh. If you want to know where the action is with Apopka offensively, follow number 10. Chandler Cox is absolutely everywhere. He's also the long snapper, by the way.
And there's Ray Smith, 72-yard touchdown run. Both teams with 2 scores in this game. Byrnes, though, is yet to convert a point after or 2-point try. Apopka went for 2 after the touchdown, did not get it.
And I don't know where Chandler Cox fits in at the next level. He's only a junior, but I recruit him regardless. I will find something to do with him.
Good starting field position for Byrnes after the short kick. A 22-yard return, and Byrnes will start at its own 43-yard line. So this may be 4-down territory right off the bat.
Absolutely. I think if they got the ball on their own 10-yard line, it's 4-down territory at this point in time, the way it's going. But Byrnes has to get back to business as usual. They're a rhythm passing team, and remember, the only time they didn't score and they got the ball is when they got behind the chains because of the holding penalty. They couldn't overcome that.
Bentley under pressure, eludes the pursuit, throws, and it's incomplete in the direction of Metters, who's got a touchdown catch in this game.
And that's the first time we've seen pressure from Apopka's defensive line. Isaiah Bueller, number 15 on that play, got the quick pressure because Schuler wanted to get outside the pocket to the right side. And if he would have, he had a good route to throw on that side, a go route by Metters.
There's Isaiah Bueller. He's got some FBS offers. FIU, FAU have offered him a scholarship. 3-star guy. There's Isaiah Hill. And there's that pursuit led by Bueller and that Apopka defensive line.
Anthony Ellis, number 39. We haven't heard much from him because of the quick passing game out of Byrnes, but that time the delayed draw up inside, and Anthony Ellis does a very nice job from his defensive tackle position.
3rd down and 16. Apopka, we've seen them switch it up front. Sometimes a 4-man rush, sometimes a 3-man rush. 3-down linemen here on 3rd and long. Bentley has time. Throws, and it's broken up. Nice play in the secondary by Cheyenne Covington, one of the linebackers.
And what Apopka's going to do is they typically play zone on the back end, and you can see right there, Covington does a very good job when one receiver leaves your zone, hunt up the next guy coming into your neighborhood, and you can see Covington squeeze down that route and then broke on the football. Very well done by Covington.
Holden Owens on to punt it away. Not much distance on that one, and Apopka will have prime starting field position. Points leader Jimmy Johnson puts his Stellar Series record at Bristol to the test this Saturday as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series continues. It's the Irwin Tools Night race at Bristol, 7 Eastern on ABC. Kyle Busch won the Nationwide Series race last night. He will start at the back of the pack tonight. Spun out during qualifying. And that's Jake Bentley being helped off the field. Freshman quarterback, son of the coach, younger brother to Schuler, and oh boy, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and he's the up back in that punt formation. We saw him earlier where he was going to run a fake punt and throw the ball, and comes limping off the sideline on that play.
This is Isom on 1st down, trying to go off tackle. Met by a host of red jerseys after a pickup of 2. 2nd and 8 at the 33.
And Apopka offensively, and he just gives you so many different personnel looks and formations. They will spread it and still run the quarterback read with Darlington and get the ball in his hands, but then they condense everything and go smash mouth for a couple of plays in the row like they did on that play.
Pardon me, 2nd and 8 at the 37. Play action, Darlington throws. That's Smith again. And a long touchdown on the last drive, and he's bumped out of bounds into Byrnes territory, a gain of 20. Trainer still attending to backup quarterback, and the up back on special teams and the holder on special teams, Jake Bentley.
We didn't have video of it to see what happened.
What's the significance if he's out for the rest of the game?
Well, I saw in practice he has a significant red zone package as the Wildcat guy, kind of the Chandler Cox for Byrnes, and obviously that package goes off the table.
Isom slips a tackle, slips into the secondary, and into the end zone for an Apopka touchdown. Second touchdown of the game for Isom, this one 43 yards.
Head coach Bobby Bentley told us that the order of the day defensively is we have to tackle number 5, number 10, and number 6. Well, they didn't tackle number 5 on this play. Isom, even though he's small, he runs big. And for his size, he breaks a lot of tackles.
Apopka now morphs into a extra point formation. LaRue on to make it an 8-point game. And he does. Another quick strike from this Blue Darter offense. 3 plays, 65 yards, 43 on the run by Daquan Isom.
Dari Noka in studio. Coming up at the half, we look at Jadeveon Clowney and what has to happen for him to win a Heisman Trophy. It all starts in 5 days against North Carolina. Tough road ahead for the Gators. We'll look at why Florida may have some challenges ahead and also the top talent in high school football. You'll see a little later. Coming up, guys.
All right, Dari, thank you very much. With Kelly Stauffer and Ish Shroff, Daquan Isom, second touchdown of the game, has given Apopka out of Florida a 20-12 lead on South Carolina. Isom in his first year is the feature running back. Last year played behind Jevrick Blocker, who is outstanding for Apopka. And really it's been the quick strikes for Apopka that have quieted this home crowd for Byrnes.
Yeah, really missed plays, missed tackles, missed assignments by Byrnes' defense. And Isom's been right at the epicenter of both of those big plays.
Let's go, Lyrics.
That's Lyrics Clue with a couple of nice moves. He's got a couple of blocks upfield. Clue, nothing but daylight in front of him. 90 yards. Special teams with a spark for Byrnes.
To be a good returner at any level, there's a lot of stuff that you have to make happen yourself. And Clue made a lot happen himself on that play, but you talk about a significant answer. Byrnes answers right back, and they're going to go for two to try to tie this game up right here.
His first name is Lyric, so I guess he ad-libbed that one. Freestyle, they call it, right?
Exactly right, and wow, what a picture it was. And Bobby Bentley wanted this ball in the middle of the field, which typically means that they have dual reads. Schuler will have a read on either side of the field right here.
Two-point conversion to tie it up. Bentley to the end zone, broken up. And Byrnes now 0 for 3 after scoring a touchdown on the point after.
And Dalen Quinn was the big tight end. He's like an extra guard in there that was trying to slip out to the flat, but very well covered by Apopka.
Been a wild first half here at Nixon Field. 20-18, Apopka leading Byrnes. The Apopka Blue Darters won the Class A state championship in Florida a season ago. They won that state championship game 53-50. So they can play shootouts.
Oh, no doubt. And that championship game was literally one of the best football games I've ever seen. I mean, high school, on the moon, it doesn't matter. It was unbelievable. But I'm impressed with the way these teams are playing the first game of the year. Not only, I mean, this game would be great at the end of the year, but high school kids being this prepared to play at this level in game one against one of the best opponents that either team will play all year, that's impressive.
You've seen a football game on the moon?
No, but I imagine it would be good theater. And that championship game last year that Apopka won was about as good as it can get.
Yeah, they beat Cypress Bay 53-50. Cypress Bay, by the way, part of high school kickoff weekend. We'll get to see them tomorrow afternoon on ESPN.
But as this game goes on in this heat and humidity and these big plays running all over the place, conditioning in the second half is going to be critical.
Apopka set to receive after the return for a touchdown. And Isaac lost that one into the end zone, so that's going to be a touchback. If it crosses the plane of the end zone, it's an automatic touchback in high school football.
And it doesn't essentially matter how it gets there. And that it was essentially muffed into the end zone. I don't know that would have broken the plane on the initial catch, but he muffs it into the end zone, breaks the plane. He's not allowed to return it out of the end zone. Well, what are we going to have here, Anish? I'm kind of excited to see it.
Darlington looked like that was a bit of miscommunication on the exchange, and he's tackled for a loss. Jarvis Magwood got him in the backfield, so second down and 17, a loss of 7.
And once again, a high degree of difficulty in the ball handling in the backfield, and it looked like Zach Darlington was going to fake it and then come around the outside, and he ended up kind of booting the ball and it went to the ground. And once again, Byrnes has Apopka behind the chains and backed up. This is a very big moment here in this football game.
They got Chandler Cox now in at quarterback. They'll play all over the field. They won't snap it to him. They'll snap it to Ray Smith. And Smith tackled after a gain of 2. So 3rd and 16. And for a bit of context, the last time it was 3rd and 16 for Apopka, they tried the old hidden ball trick. It worked for a 72-yard touchdown.
Yeah, the high sense of anticipation to see what happens here. But it's amazing to me the role that Chandler Cox plays. He's all over the place. That time he essentially ended up being a lead fullback. But he's done a lot of things here today.
Ray Smith gobbled up after a gain of a yard, so 4th and long. Big hold there, a 3-and-out forced by the Byrnes defense.
That was one of the first conservative moments that we've really seen out of either offense today. And I would have actually expected Bobby Bentley to potentially burn a timeout. The clock's running, and even though they're still well above 4 minutes, it might have been a decent use for a timeout right there.
not a good punt, and boy, Byrnes is going to have great real estate again to start inside the Apopka 40. Only a 23-yard punt. Let's take a look at our Under Armour All-America player profile. Christian Miller, the top-ranked player in the state of South Carolina, out of Spring Valley. The 61st ranked player overall in the ESPN 300, the top-ranked outside linebacker. Verbally committed to Alabama. His strengths, length, range, and quickness. That's Isaiah Hill, spins away from one defender, using his stiff arm, and finally runs out of bounds, just shy of the 20-yard line. There might be a late flag at the end of this play.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There's going to be half the distance to the goal with a late hit, and what a run by Isaiah Hill. And that's what this offense lacked a year ago, is the ability to run it effectively. Not run it a lot, but when you do, it needs to be effective, and that's what effective looks like.
After play, dead ball, personal foul. On the defense, half the distance to go, first down.
And you can see right there his foot is out, and then the extremely late hit by Akeem Smith. Not very wise to be that aggressive down low late on that play, but it'll cost his team. But Byrnes has to finish a drive. I like Apopka's adjustments defensively. They're doing a better job in their zone coverages out in the field, but when you're deep in the red zone, look for man-to-man opportunities against a very good receiving core by Byrnes.
Ball spotted at the 13-yard line for Byrnes. Schuler Bentley, the quarterback, committed to Old Dominion. 2 touchdown passes in the game already. And that's nearly intercepted by Robert Thomas. The intended receiver that time, the tight end, Dylan Quinn.
Well, Dylan Quinn looks like a guard going downfield. I saw him in practice. I'm like, what's number 3 doing? A guard catching balls down the field, but he is their tight end. He sets the edge. That time they were trying to play action and get him right up the middle of the field. Very well covered by Apopka.
Hill straight up the middle. Moves the pile down to the 10-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down. Kelly, this is something we see in the college game. Spread offenses. Once they get inside the red zone, 10, 15 yards, now you don't have so much room to operate anymore, and it becomes difficult to score.
That's a great point. And the field is condensed. The spread is less effective. And so that's where you have to run the football a little more effectively.
Play action here on 3rd down. Bentley for the end zone. Touchdown, Byrnes. Metters, his 2nd TD of the game.
And Metters, the big body, 6'2", 180-pound receiver, was matched up one-on-one with number 13, J.J. Simmons. J.J. Simmons just simply gave Metters too much cushion. This is too easy. You have to remember where you are on the field, and a very good route ran by Metters. Snapped it off outside. Simmons got turned around, and again, the ball placement by Schuler was impeccable.
Byrnes once again going for 2, 0 for 3 thus far. Bentley's got time, throws for the corner of the end zone. Hauled in by McCam. And the 2-point conversion successful, 26-20. So 3 and out by that Byrnes defense. Rebels get the ball back with great field position, march down the field. A penalty helps them out. And they now have a 6-point lead.
We'll see Metters snap the ball off outside. The ball placement, the out cut. Simmons got turned around, and a similar play on the other side. McCam is inside. You can see him getting to the back of the corner of the end zone. And again, the ball placement by Schuler Bentley is incredible.
All right, you're a former quarterback. How hard is that throw that he made?
It's a difficult throw, but what's more difficult is to sort through the man-to-man coverage to throw the ball on time. And that's what you see out of Schuler Bentley, is the ball comes out. He deciphers defenses, then he throws an accurate ball. Because he's so sound fundamentally, and his release is so tight and compact, and smooth, really. The ball placement is unreal. He's 9 out of 17, 135 yards, and 3 touchdowns here today.
Bentley's committed to Old Dominion, which is making the transition from the FCS to the FBS. They're listed, depends on which publication you see as an FCS
Is it
independent.
a soft commitment? Would you categorize it?
Well, you know, he talked to us yesterday, and he said, listen, Cincinnati entered the picture, and that's, you know, a team, listen, from the American, has an AQ right now. Apopka will get it at the 20, and he said, for now, I'm still committed to Old Dominion.
This is the deal. If the right team knocks on his door,
possibly,
I think his recruiting is open back up again. And what I mean by right is potentially the right ACC team,
sure,
or SEC team, which only makes sense. I mean, the young man was born and raised right here in football country in the South. If the right team comes knocking, and this is what I would say, his favorite NFL player is Drew Brees. Do you not see similarities? Same body type, same smooth release, the same fiery leader. I'm just saying, ACC, SEC, you may want to take a closer look.
Chandler Cox, quarterback for Apopka, and that's a gain of a yard. You know, Bentley's a guy, he's got offers from FIU and Charlotte, and the one thing he did say, Old Dominion, as they make that transition to Conference USA and the FBS, it really means something to him to have a chance 2 years from now to be that guy in the first year that Old Dominion is bowl eligible, to have a chance to maybe be that starting quarterback for that team.
And that means something as well, to be a part of history and take Old Dominion to that FBS level. And I get that. But ACC, SEC, you never know.
That's Ray Smith. And that's a gain of about 3 or 4, so it'll bring up 3rd down and 5.
Plenty of time left here, but they do have to quicken things up a little bit. And remember, Apopka isn't the hurry-up team that Byrnes is, but they're trying to pick up the tempo here in this 2-minute situation.
Isom trying to get the corner. He does. And he's tackled, and that's going to be close.
I think he's going to get it by almost a yard on that side, but you talked about his relative dimps. You saw some speed on that play right there. That was bubbled big time into the backfield, and it was just sheer speed to the corner. Wow. That was a generous spot. Isom must have done a very good job of tiptoeing down the sideline. I thought his left plant foot went out a little bit earlier than that.
Less than 2 minutes to go in this first half. The Nebraska commit, Zach Darlington, back under center, and it looks like they've got movement up front. You know, we talked about Schuler.
Right snap, encroachment, defense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
We talked about Schuler Bentley opening up his options potentially if the right school came calling. You know, Zach Darlington was a guy who has had a lot of options as 4-star recruits going to Nebraska, a style that's very similar to what he plays in right now. That's a short gain on 1st down. A yard, so it'll be 2nd and 4.
I'm really somewhat mystified by the play calling right here. There's plenty of time to get something done here, and they have 2 timeouts left. It seems like they would get something to the edges for a potential big play, but also throw the football. But remember, Byrnes' offense, you do not want to see Schuler Bentley back on the field before halftime.
Byrnes also receives to start the 2nd half.
They certainly have things condensed down right now.
Play action here for Darlington. He's in trouble, and down he goes. Back at the 26-yard line. A loss of 11. Avery James with the sack. And now, if you're Byrnes, do you use a timeout?
I think Byrnes does use a timeout right here. In fact, I think they did use a timeout, but a very good job of play calling by defensive coordinator Mo Dixon, anticipating the play action pass, and they were bringing the house out of that 3-3-5 defense, and there was serious leaking going on up front.
And Zach Darlington a bit shaken up after that play. Byrnes does call a timeout now as Bobby Bentley comes out.
Timeout, Byrnes.
Well, I asked the question, why isn't Apopka throwing the football a little bit more in this 2-minute situation with 2 timeouts? And I think the answer is that. I think the protection is an issue. Apopka was replacing 3 offensive linemen coming into this year, and that was a story in camp. And when we talked to Rick Darlington, the head coach of Apopka, he wasn't real settled into that coming into this first game. They needed a center and 2 guards. They moved Martez Ivy outside from a guard position to a tackle, and they were basically looking for everybody up the middle, and they weren't real confident coming into game 1.
And Darlington, who got shaken up on that last play. Let's not forget, last year during the state playoffs, he played most of the postseason with a broken wrist in his right hand, had surgery on that wrist in February, good to go for the season. He's a kid that's played hurt, but here, before the season really starts in earnest down in Florida, week 0 they call it, you don't want to see Darlington go down. Certainly his dad, the head coach, doesn't want to see it, and fans of Apopka football, and certainly Nebraska fans, probably hold their breath as well a little bit.
Yeah, the Nebraska fans are really anticipating this young man coming to the heartland of the country. And you talked about the offense they run. They run the offense that Nebraska runs, essentially.
So Cox in the game on 3rd and 14. It's a run play right up the middle, and he gets to the original line of scrimmage, so 4th down coming up. And Bobby Bentley uses his final timeout for Byrnes, so with 1:18 left, it'll be 4th down for Apopka. Byrnes out of timeouts, but they will get the ball back.
And Apopka's punting situation is a little iffy at this point in time, and I think it was Billy Colville, number 44, that was the punter the time before, and they have a new punter coming in Tyler LaRue that they obviously aren't very comfortable with at this point in time. And Rick Darlington talked about special teams playing a prominent role, and he knew that they would have potentially some issues there.
Apopka from the state of Florida, which historically has been very fertile recruiting ground for college football. Florida State, Miami, and Florida currently, according to ESPN, have top 10 classes. You look at how they mine that state. Florida State with 24 commits from the Sunshine State. Miami with 25. Florida with 15. And a number of those guys, ESPN 300 players.
And the beauty of it is a lot of the players in this area, they really don't have a reason to leave. I mean, it isn't like people come in and can just cherry pick this region in particular. And so, I mean, that's a win too. If a lot of those players would like to stay home in some form. 29 in the state of Florida. That's unreal.
Billy Carville on to punt it again. Last one only went 23 yards. And this one's blocked. High in the air, Byrnes has it. Apopka player down on the field.
This was a combination of a lack of protection and a very, very slow get off by Billy Colville, the linebacker who's in there to punt on that particular play. That ball could have been blocked by at least 2 players. We talked about the potential issues in special teams as a whole, and Rick Darlington's team has seen a few here lately.
Rakeem Smith was the injured Apopka player. He walked off the field on his own power.
Remember, transition offense. You get a turnover. A team like Byrnes wants to go for the throat right here in play number 1. We'll see if Schuler Bentley throws it into the end zone.
Bentley dumps it off. And skipping out of bounds, Najee Bowens. A gain of 15. 1st and goal for Byrnes with 1 minute and 4 seconds to go in this first half.
The appearance of a route developing to the left, but all along they were throwing the screen back to Bowens, all alone to the right side of the field. Very well disguised by Byrnes. Watch to the corner of the end zone right here.
Bentley rolling out, throws, and it's ruled incomplete.
Pass incomplete.
Isaiah Hill, the intended receiver.
And if Schuler Bentley could have looked to the left side of the field, he had Metters going to the corner. Little subtle movement by Schuler. The ball hits the ground. Good ball placement, but remember, you're throwing to a running back. You throw it low and away to a running back, and they have a difficult time seeing the ball and getting down there and getting it off the turf.
Bentley back to the air. Throws, and that pass was tipped, and it's incomplete. 3rd and goal. And again, we're seeing the spread offense stall a little bit once they get close.
Yeah, when the spread offense is condensed down deep in the red zone, and Apopka's more of a zone team anyway, and they're kind of playing more of a picket fence type of defense down here deep, and there just aren't many windows to throw in, but the defensive line for Apopka is getting a little more pressure than we saw earlier in the game.
Let's not forget, Jake Bentley took a hard spill earlier in the game. This could be a situation where Byrnes uses him. That it's his big brother Schuler. That's to the end zone, and that's another touchdown for the Rebels. Shaden Metters, his 3rd TD grab of the game.
And it's actually a mirror image of the touchdown pass he caught before. Just run the defender off. The timing of the pass, snap it off, go to the sideline, and once again, just too much cushion defensively by Apopka on that play. Down deep in the red zone, you have to get up in the receiver's face and just simply take away that cushion into the end zone.
Byrnes going for 2, quick release, Taven Richardson in the end zone. 2-point conversion successful. 34-20, it's a 14-point lead for Byrnes. Schuler Bentley, 4 touchdown passes in this game. He's a kid who's now thrown a TD pass in 26 straight games, and big games like this, nothing new for him. You look at that graphic right there. 7 times now in his career, he's thrown at least 4 touchdown passes in a game. His career high, by the way, 7 TDs, which came last October. He's more than halfway there through 1 half.
Yeah, and look at how quickly he gets rid of the ball. The catch and the quick release, and that was just an uncovered situation. Taven Richardson was flanked out to the left, and Apopka just left him uncovered. And remember, the quarterback we're dealing with, Schuler Bentley's a coach's son. He sees everything defensively. There aren't many questions that he doesn't have the answer to. He saw the uncovered receiver, quick snap, throw him the football, touchdown later.
Apopka will start at the 20-yard line with 49 seconds to go in the first half. They have 2 timeouts. Let's see if Zach Darlington comes out for the start of this series.
Remember, Zach Darlington got dinged up on the last series, and we saw Chandler Cox finish that series at quarterback. And I would expect to see more of the same. If Darlington is dinged up a little bit, give him a little more time to get back on his feet and run the clock out here with Chandler Cox.
Chandler Cox comes out for the start of this series. Now, he doesn't really offer much of a passing threat for Apopka, so this just may be a few running plays. And we'll run it on first down. Isom to the 23-yard line. And there is Zach Darlington on the sideline. You hope he's okay. If not for this game, then at least for the long term.
And what you're seeing right now with Darlington out is more of the single wing type of approach that they were doing most of last year. Then all of a sudden they're saying we have to change things up a bit and rely more on Zach Darlington's dual threat ability, and they went on to win the state championship. This is the single wing stuff they were running before.
Let's see if Apopka decides to call one more play. It looks like they're going to let time run out. And Byrnes with a ton of momentum as the pendulum swung violently in their direction in the final minutes of that second quarter. A kickoff return for a touchdown, a blocked punt, some quick strikes, and Byrnes with a 2-touchdown lead going to the break. 34-20, your halftime score here in Duncan, South Carolina. Let's go back to the studio. Dari Noka and Tom Luganville.
How about that? A basketball game broke out. 55 points in the first half. Dari Noka here, Tom Luganville there. Welcome into the Sports Center U halftime report. Going to get you well aware of some of the top talent that's on throughout the ESPN networks over the course of the day in high school. But in college, look, you folks in South Carolina, we know you're eager to watch on Thursday night when that man, Jadeveon Clowney, takes on North Carolina to start what could be a Heisman quest.
Clowney's got him. Look at Clowney. Oh, the big fella. What a hit. Clowney ignites himself into the backfield. Clowney just says, I'll come off the ball and rock you. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate for sure.
Best player in the country, many folks think. And you look at what he's done. Finished in the top 5 in the nation in both sacks and tackles for loss last year. Increased both of those totals from his freshman year. Perhaps his best game last season came against Taj Boyd in Clemson when he got 4.5 sacks. He has since gone on to say quarterbacks are afraid of him, including Taj Boyd, who says, no, I'm not. ESPN Heisman poll, he's number 1. Now, again, Heisman voters don't always vote for defensive players because they need to see statistics and they can't necessarily rack them up. What does he have to do to win the Heisman Trophy?
Well, I think he has to get the sack number above 15. He's got to get that number, I think, really elevated. And then the performances have to come in their premier games. The contest in week 2 versus the University of Georgia. They've got to be able to do it home versus Florida. The high-profile games South Carolina plays, where all eyes are going to be on Jadeveon Clowney, he has to have tackles for losses, forced fumbles, exceptional plays on the edge where he's just whooping tail on offensive tackles that cannot handle him one-on-one. And he's going to have to do it every time they're televised. And I think that's the whole key for a defensive player.
You see the schedule? He's got a televised game on Thursday. Everybody will be watching that because finally college football is back. They're on the road in Athens on the 7th. There's some opportunities here. Florida at home, Clemson at home. Not an easy run, by the way, for his football team. It's a little different than the last couple of years.
A lot different than the last couple of years. In fact, the tables have turned a little bit. Now, Georgia out of the East has a little bit more of a difficult schedule. Florida clearly has the most difficult schedule. This is my team to win the East. I think they're going to be playing in the SEC championship game.
All right. We know many of you Apopka fans out there watching are big Florida Gator fans as well. Your team's schedule, it's yikes. Yikes is a good way. Maybe the most difficult in the country, Luke.
Well, look at the out-of-conference contest at Miami. A lot of people think they could be a 10-win team. Florida State at home, on the road at LSU. You've got on the road at South Carolina, and then, of course, the neutral site contest with Georgia.
Not easy. And there, you can even see late in the season a Vanderbilt team, who knows, that goes into Gainesville and makes that interesting. What's the key to Florida having success this season?
A lot of it's going to rely upon Jeff Driscoll and how much he's able to mature, how much more of the offense they put on his shoulders now after being a full-time starter for an entire year. Are they going to have more weapons around him? I really think the true freshman DeMarcus Robinson out of the ESPN 300 a year ago will probably start for Florida, give him a weapon out wide that can run and create mismatches in the red area. I think Jeff Driscoll is extremely talented. You'll see more of the arsenal out of him this year, not just as a game manager, not just as a guy that they're hoping doesn't screw it up, but as a guy that they can win because of, not in spite of. Question for me, can Jeff Driscoll and a young supporting cast around him, can they handle road contests? Can they go into Baton Rouge? Can they go into Columbia? Matt Jones, it says right now, is not going to take part in the opener at tailback. So you could be looking at Kelvin Taylor, a true freshman, sharing duties with Mac Brown in the backfield in the opener for Jeff Driscoll. So even more limited experience around him early on.
They got to replace a lot of production on offense. They're very good defensively, though.
Very good defensively.
All right, Florida, Will Muschamp certainly has done awfully well in terms of recruiting. We're going to introduce you to a young man in moments who's got Florida and Florida State, you saw there, as a finalist. We'll introduce you to him. And then look at this. Well, it gives Oklahoma fans. Yeah, exactly. There he goes. And then he's going to propose to his girlfriend, the cheer. No, he's not. That's Ray for the touchdown. Coming up, starting on Saturday, the final hour of Dory and Mel on ESPN Radio, 9 to 10, can also be seen on ESPN.
It'll be like Home Improvement. We only get to look at the top half of your head.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that? Yeah, and there, Mel and I are the same height, which
like
is
Wilson.
not the case. Right, exactly. All right, a lot of points, 34-20, Byrnes with a halftime lead. Shaden Metters with the touchdown. 2 touchdowns up right now. More high school football coming up, 3:30 ESPN. Lincoln High School and Kendall Randolph taking on South Gwinnett out of Georgia. Randolph, the 17th ranked corner in the country. And then on ESPNU, same time, University Christian against Highlands High School. Josh Allen, 19th ranked guard in the country, off to Chapel Hill to play at North Carolina in the fall. All right, other guys coming up. How about Chad Thomas coming up 7 o'clock on ESPN?
Explosive edge rusher, committed to the University of Miami. He's got tremendous upside because he hasn't even reached his growth potential. He's going to maximize that over the next couple of years. Really explosive, the kind of guy you want to have along the edge. And then how about Lamar Parker and Trayon Harris? A great combination between quarterback and wide receiver. Parker's explosive, a perfect fit for West Virginia's offense, and Dana Holgerson, kind of a, Tavon Austin type of guy. And then Lorenzo Carter later on tonight in Norcross, Georgia, number 3 defensive end in the class, number 11 overall in the ESPN 300. An explosive, dynamic athlete. Dara, you and I were out at the opening, out at the Spark Championship, ran sub 4.6 at 235 pounds twice.
Unbelievable. Yeah, incredible athlete. Huge, great size. All right, so he plays for Norcross. Also, for that Norcross team, we'll see at 7 Eastern.
Yep, Miles Autry and Kevin Mohan. Both players, obviously dynamic. Autry, an athlete, going to play on both sides of the football. Butch Jones, the Tennessee Volunteers, on fire right now in recruiting. And then we head out west later on tonight on ESPNU to Utah. Dalton Schultz, our number 1 ranked tight end Y in the 2014 class, and Micaiah Quick, a dynamic athlete that once again you will see on offense, on defense, and certainly in the return game, an exciting playmaker with the ball in his hands. Tayshawn Smallwood, the defensive tackle, Micaiah Quick's teammate, explosive, short, low to the ground, plays with great leverage, a true nose tackle that will likely play as an inside one technique. So you see the high school talent, top prospects in action Saturday here across our ESPN platforms. Are a lot of high-profile guys, great players in the ESPN 300.
Yeah, awesome opportunity to see some of these guys that will be making differences in college football next season. Again, one of the guys we talked about, you'll see tonight, 7 Eastern, ESPN. The top-ranked team in the country, that's Booker T. Washington out of Miami, on the road at 6th-ranked team in the country, Norcross in Georgia. You'll also see the 11th-ranked player in the country, Lorenzo Carter, a freakish defensive end for Norcross, and still undecided on a college as we get to know Lorenzo.
Lorenzo Carter, Norcross High School, defensive end. Fans are crazy. A fan somehow got my number and was like, hey, you should come to so-and-so and just, you'd be a great player, you're a great person, and if you came here, you could really have a chance marrying my daughter. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm good, I'll pass.
Got it.
I think pretty much everybody I play knows I'm going to get a few sacks, so they're prepared for that, but they just don't want me to have that much of a breakout game.
How fast can he turn it over? Look at that D-lineman go.
I ran the first 40, I ran a 4.56. I was like, oh man, that's pretty fast. I always knew I was fast. I was just like, hey, let me try to get as low as I can.
4.54, so that's a bit of an improvement.
I couldn't celebrate too much because I had the prototype cleats on, and if we jump, then they could break. So I couldn't jump. I just had to jog out.
You're looking at a defensive end that just ran sub 4.6. Why do you think he's one of the most coveted players in all the country?
An incredible athlete there, and he tweeted last week. He's down to 7 now. He's got 7 finalists: Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Florida State. Pretty good choices. What kind of a difference maker might he be at the next level?
Well, he's at a premium position off the edge, in the mold of a Robert Nkemdiche, a Daquan Bowers, a Jadeveon Clowney, the type of impactful player that you have to game plan for, have to be aware at all times where he's at. Now take a look at his frame, long and lean, exactly what coaches love. But the lean part is the area that I think he will struggle with early on at the collegiate level, because it's going to be difficult for him to anchor at the point of attack and hold his ground if he's run at significantly. Not to mention his height and long arms. He's going to have to be very conscious of pad level and playing low and with consistent leverage. But when it comes to explosiveness, speed, a high motor, he is very difficult to contend with. You look at the schools that he's named off, like a Florida, like an LSU, like an Alabama, all teams that have had premier players in the defensive front, which is one of the reasons why those programs have become the premier programs in college football.
You take a look at the top undeclared players at this point. Leonard Fournette, number 1 running back in here. Cameron Robinson, Deshaun Hand. There's some huge names. We saw Speedy Noyle at the opening as well. Just an incredible athlete. All right, now, how about someone that's making an announcement tonight on ESPNU? During Sports Interview at 6:30 Eastern, and that's Cameron Sims, number 6 wide receiver overall.
Yeah, the big fella. You see the long arms, the physical stature, almost built like a taller version of a Justin Blackmon. So difficult to tackle one-on-one, as you see right here. Not going to be a guy that's just going to run by people. But quarterbacks are going to have tremendous confidence in him because of his acrobatic playmaking ability, sideline awareness, and the ability to go up and attack the ball in contested matchups, very similar to former South Carolina wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey.
You see Cameron Sims' list of finalists out of Ouachita Parish High School in Monroe, Louisiana. You can see Southern on that list. His mom's school, his aunt works at Southern as well. How about a big basketball announcement tonight on ESPNU during the Elite 24 game? The number 5 overall player and the number 2 point guard, Arlington, Texas's Emmanuel Mudiay, will announce his college choice. His finalists, how about Scott Drew in Baylor, Bill Self in Kansas, among others. And you can see the Elite 24, the nation's premier high school event. 24 of the nation's top players take the stage outside under the historic Brooklyn Bridge in New York. The Under Armour Elite 24 game, Saturday, 7 Eastern, ESPNU. All right. 34-20 in favor of Byrnes. Greg McCann with a touchdown catch. Ludes and I back in a moment. Game coming back up quick. Big day coming up on Monday. This is every Monday on ESPNU. The Herd, followed by College Football Daily. Final Verdict, a new show, Grade 8. You're going to love it. Think great plays and brackets all combined into one. College Football Live, BCS Countdown. Oh, by the way, this may be a topic on College Football Daily. I'm making it the call now. Fox Sports Ohio reporting that Urban Meyer has told NFL scouts in Columbus you cannot wear blue when visiting a Buckeye practice, presumably because of that's Michigan's color. But are we seriously concerned about this? Huh?
Maybe it makes him feel sad.
Yeah, that would be a better reason than what we presume is the reason.
Coaching, man. That's not all that surprising. I gotta be honest with you.
34-20 Byrnes. Second half is next. You're going to miss us.
It's gut check time. Time to leave it all out on the field and separate yourself from the rest. Time to introduce yourself to the world. Here, the stars of tomorrow become household names today.
You're watching the Geico ESPN High School Kickoff. We welcome you back to Byrnes High School here in Duncan, South Carolina. Let's take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Geico. At first, we take a look at the key plays. This game really turned and the pendulum swung when Lyric's Clue kind of improvised here. Took a kickoff return, 91 yards for a touchdown, 22 unanswered for Byrnes to close the first half. A block punt on Apopka's next drive.
Yeah, backup running back Dominic Maines blocks that punt, and we thought special teams would play a big role. And then the touchdown pass to Metters, who has 3 touchdown catches on the day. And Byrnes really started to roll downhill in the Geico first half stats we see right here. Darlington actually played pretty well, but the passing numbers come off the ability to run it effectively. And Byrnes just didn't allow Apopka to run it after that first drive. And Bentley has been Bentley. Very efficient in the pass game. Metters has been his touchdown target, but a very smooth operator in the pocket is Bentley.
Darlington, the Nebraska commit, didn't play the final series of the first half for Apopka, a little banged up. Apopka will kick off to start the second half as Byrnes looks to build on a 22-0 run over the last 6 minutes plus of the first half. And really, we showed you, special teams a big part of that, and Bentley to Metters has certainly been the connection that's worked for the offense.
And we thought Apopka was fixing to bow up on Byrnes offensively and start to run downhill a little bit, and all of a sudden the tide changed and Byrnes came up with some big special teams play. We talked about that being important today in this first game out, and this drive for Apopka defensively is huge.
Short kick taken by Najee Bowens, and Bowens across the 30-yard line to the 32. Schuler Bentley has come as advertised. 59 touchdown passes, a state record last year, 4 in the first half.
A beautiful ball off of a really compact, quick release. He throws one of the prettiest balls you'll ever see. But the anticipation makes up for maybe a little lack of arm strength. If a quarterback can anticipate the window, you don't have to throw it through a wall.
On first down, Bentley under pressure, and that was nearly intercepted by J.J. Simmons, thrown in the direction of Taven Richardson.
And just a way for Bentley, Schuler Bentley to get outside the pocket, change to the launch point. Remember, head coach Bobby Bentley from Byrnes was talking about the defensive line pressure that they were leery of. So you change the launch point of a quarterback once in a while to make those big guys up front chase the quarterback out of the pocket.
On the ground here on second down, Isaiah Hill trying to get to the outside, and he's got nowhere to go. It'll bring up third down. Shaheem Covington with the stop.
And Isaiah Hill had a nice first half, and the addition of the effective run game in the first half, Isaiah Hill had 31 rushing yards in that half, and that was a good supplement to what Byrnes does offensively in the pass game.
3rd and 8 after a short gain. Plenty of time for Bentley. He's going deep for Metters. Metters has it. Simmons tries to bring him down and finally does at the 10-yard line. 56 yards on the play, and with that, Metters over the century mark receiving.
And Metters is outside. You can see the double move, the out and the up. This ball was slightly underthrown, but this is where your receiver, you have to have confidence that Metters is going to come back and take the ball away, and he did.
They'll keep it on the ground here on first down and goal, and Bowens is taken out of bounds, so second down coming up. Well, Metters is a guy who might be improving his stock, a 3-star recruit. He's got offers from some FBS schools, Old Dominion, which is making that transition to the next level, Marshall and Toledo, but also offers from App State, Charlotte, Hampton.
Old Dominion might get a package deal.
They might.
Metters and Schuler Bentley are looking pretty good here this afternoon.
Might want those in tandem. Bentley rolls out, throws to Richardson, and he's blown up on the spot by Robert Thomas. So 3rd and goal coming up.
Yeah, the play action, and Schuler Bentley was going to get outside the pocket. Taven Richardson was coming underneath that formation and trying to leak out into the flat, but very well diagnosed by Apopka's defense.
Metters has 3 touchdown catches in the game, 145 yards receiving. He's caught the last 2 TD passes from Bentley. And that's incomplete, broken up. 4th down coming up.
That time Metters was just releasing on a fade going to the corner, and McCann was coming up inside. That's where I saw Schuler Bentley in practice a little bit, getting glued on a receiver that he expects to be open. You can't get into that habit as a quarterback. You have to go through your read keys every time and just simply throw to the open guy or throw the ball away.
Holden Owens on for a field goal attempt. It's a 24-yard attempt. Kick is good, and it's a 17-point game, so a 3-score advantage for Byrnes, 37-20 after the field goal on the opening drive of the second half. Byrnes scores again. It's 25 unanswered. When we come back, Tom Luginbill, our National Director of Recruiting, will join us to talk about some of the top prospects in this game.
I call him Dad at first, and then when he doesn't answer, I call him Coach, and then when he doesn't answer after that, because sometimes I think he's deaf, I call him Coach Bentley, and then I just stop asking. I just figure it out on my own.
When we call him Dad, other players kind of mock us and be like, Dad, Dad, and I start calling him that. So, I mean, you call him Dad, and when he's far away, you just Coach.
Father and sons on one sideline. On the other sideline, you've got father and son. There's the Bentleys of Byrnes and the Darlingtons for Apopka. 37-20 your score with Kelly Stauffer and Ish Schroff. Let's bring in Tom Luginbill, who's joining us, our National Recruiting Director. And Lugs, you've got some insight into the father-son quarterback relationship. You kind of grew up with that.
Well, I did grow up with it ever since I can remember walking. I had been in a college locker room, and it just so happens a decision was made for me because my dad got fired about a week before my junior college national championship game, so I didn't necessarily have to make that very tough choice. You know, the one luxury that Bobby Bentley has, guys, is usually when you're going to play your son as a quarterback, there's tremendous pressure, and that player has to be so much better than the next guy so that you alleviate any type of controversy. Well, the next guy in his case is his younger brother and his other son. So that's a pretty nice luxury to have.
Yeah, so the only pressure is going to come from Mama at home.
That's
right. His wife Paulette wondering who's going to play. But
35-yard line.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you know the program here well with Bobby Bentley and the way he runs things. Schuler is a different guy than what Jake Bentley will be. So obviously there has to be a transition schematically when Jake Bentley takes over this time next season.
Well, I think there will be, and they've had a more athletic, more dynamic type of guy back in 2005 and 2006 with former Byrnes quarterback Willie Korn, where they implemented some other things. And I think one of the Bobby Bentley's strengths as a coach is he's really good at accentuating the strengths of his team and masking the weaknesses through scheme, through all kinds of shifts and motions. As you guys are watching there, and I've had the opportunity to broadcast both Apopka and Byrnes games in the past, these are two of the most well-oiled, well-coached high school teams you will find in all of high school football.
You know, we're showing a graphic, notable college quarterbacks to play for their dad. Zach Darlington playing for his father, Rick for Apopka. There's Zach right now handing the ball off. And then we talked about the Bentleys. Luke, as you kind of grew up, you know, having a father for a coach, being a quarterback, what are some of the traits that are kind of hardwired into a quarterback who's also a coach's kid?
Well, if you've grown up around it, I think the number one trait that you've got to have and you grow into is a thick skin, the ability to deal with pressure, deal with criticism. Keep in mind, as a youngster, when you're growing up in an environment where there's criticism in the paper, on the internet, you're fully aware that when things don't go well, you're going to hear about it. And so you become so accustomed to that, and then at some point you become immune to it, which I think helps your overall mental toughness.
Fourth down coming up here for Apopka.
Yeah, Lugs, I wanted to ask you about Martez Ivy. I mean, he's a 6'6", 285-pound kid. I know you rank him as the second offensive tackle in your ESPN Junior 300, the sixth player overall. What do you think of him? I mean, this guy's going to be 300 bills before he leaves Apopka High School.
There's no question. In fact, he reminds us so much of what Cyrus Kwanjo, the starting left tackle at Alabama, looked like coming out. Long arms, leaner upper body, a huge ceiling for development once he enters into a college weight program. Keep in mind, when we're compiling the ESPN Junior 300, you're essentially doing it off of sophomore tape when the player's 15 years old. So Martez Ivy, the rest of the players in the ESPN Junior 300, just 16 years old now. So the development that is going to take place is just going to be unbelievable to see these guys maximize their potential as you look at the top 10 prospects there in the class of 2015. Ja'Shawn Cornell is going to be another in a long line of great defensive end prospects we've seen over the years, like a Robert Kimdichie, like a Daquan Bowers, a Jadeveon Clowney, and the like.
When you talk about Ivy, Lugs, the thing that strikes me when I see him in person is he is long, and you can see his ability to put on weight. I mean, you don't see 285 pounds when you look at him. You see almost like a power forward type guy in basketball. So you project that forward, you're absolutely right. When he actually grows up, he's going to be 320 at the next level.
Well, he's going to be, and he won't even look 320 at that point. He's got great feet.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, he plays it like a basketball player, almost like a powered forward mentality. I think he's a good finisher for a young player, which can often be difficult to project. You know, when you look at a guy like Martez Ivy or anybody in the 2015 class, it gives you a real sense of respect for how difficult it is for these college coaches and their staffs to try and recruit and project what a guy is going to be 3 to 4 years down the road. And now that the recruiting process has become so accelerated, you're having to make those assessments earlier than ever before. That's very difficult. Nobody has a crystal ball.
Yeah, and on that topic, you know, we're talking to Jake Bentley yesterday, Bobby Bentley's younger son. He's a freshman. He's already got an offer from Auburn. Appalachian State is in the mix. Your team has put together the ESPN Junior 300. How much of having a Junior 300 was driven by fan appetite versus just coaches offering guys as freshmen and, dare I say, even earlier?
Probably a combination. You know, the recruiting calendar is one that is our staff at ESPN Recruiting, especially on the scouting side. We've really tried to emulate the same calendar that the college coaches are operating on, continuing to evaluate the current class, getting a jump start on the next class. because essentially you are having to recruit 2 classes and evaluate 2 classes at a time. And it's not easy. You're trying to keep track of the board, the names, and then obviously make very difficult projections with not a lot of information to go on, because remember, you have rules. You don't have constant contact. There's information that you don't know, a lot of unknown variables. And so, you know, our going to that ESPN Junior 300, I think, was a direct result of that's where the landscape of college recruiting is going now. Like it or dislike it, that's the world we're living in.
Hey, Luke, I want to ask you about a guy who has caught my eye here today, that Chandler Cox, the do-everything guy for Apopka. He's that belldozer of Apopka High School at 6'2", 225. He's a junior, so you would anticipate that he will be the quarterback of this team maybe next season. Where does this guy go? Because I love the way he plays football.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Kelly, how you referenced him. You know, he kind of plays in that belldozer type of role. You look at him athletically, 6'2", 225 pounds. Chandler Cox is a dynamic athlete that can play in a variety of roles. It's one of the reasons why we have the athlete category, because with the spread offense infiltrating the high school football landscape, so many coaches now are taking their best athlete, putting him at quarterback so that every play starts with the ball in his hands. So you get a real sense to see the versatility of some of these guys, like a Chandler Cox, and now you got to maybe project them to what position they're going to be 2 years down the road. Not easy to do, but when you see them play multiple positions, it gives you an appreciation.
A couple of penalty markers on the field here, Luke. Don't mean to cut you off. You can finish your thought. Just looks like we got a couple of penalty markers on a 4th down, including maybe running into or roughing the kicker at the very end. I'll just wait for the penalty.
We talked about how clean the first half was played. This second half is starting a little bit like a first game of the season.
False start on the offense and then offsetting personal fouls on both teams. All right, Luke, finish your thought on Chandler Cox and where he could maybe project at the next level.
Well, you know, I think a lot of that will depend on just how much he matures. What position does he play after Zach Darlington moves on? And I think when you look at the measurables, he could be an ideal fit on defense, but you're also seeing these big backs now, these big physical runners, you know, like a Matt Jones down at the University of Florida. They're tall, upright, the TJ Yeldons. Maybe he's a guy that ends up on offense, but it's that versatility. The more you can do, the more valuable you become mentality that lends to the athlete category for us.
See, Luke, that's a great point. I've actually had this conversation with college coaches throughout the country at times. Recruit oversized quarterbacks and then put them where you want them. I mean, you see that a lot. You see so many former quarterbacks showing up on the defensive side of the ball or in a specialty role on the offense. And to me, Chandler Cox is exactly like that.
Well, and it's the same thing at some of the skill positions, especially with the defensive corner spot, like former Tennessee safety and corner Eric Berry. He was a wildcat option quarterback at the high school level. So you project some of those skill guys that aren't going to play quarterback to another position where they can help the roster both on offense, defense, and then most notably in the kicking game.
Isom retrieves as he fields the punt. Has a little bit of space. Gets to the outside. Isom across the 40 into Byrnes territory and finally pushed out of bounds. Tom Luganbill, our national recruiting director, with some insight. Check out Recruiting Nation, both the show on ESPNU and on ESPN.com. We're back from Duncan after this. Apopka down by 17 points here in the third quarter. Time starting to run out on the Blue Darters. 6:27 to go. They'll begin their first drive in Byrnes territory today. Good starting field position at the 43-yard line of Byrnes, and Zach Darlington back on the field. The offense has stagnated a bit over the last 10, 12 minutes or so, but with Darlington under center, you've got a chance. Dual threat guy, as we mentioned earlier and throughout the broadcast, headed to Nebraska. And Kelly, this is an offense you mentioned very similar to what Nebraska runs. How does he kind of compare to the guy who's there now, Taylor Martinez?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I think size-wise they're very similar. 6'2", 210. Taylor Martinez has been in a major college strength and conditioning program for 4 years, so he's a little bit thicker, therefore a little heavier. I think running-wise, I like Zach Darlington's physical nature when he runs. I think
more so than Taylor Martinez?
I think so. Taylor Martinez, to me, is a more top-end speed type guy. He can go from 0 to 60 in the blink of an eye. I don't think Zach Darlington has that type of speed overall. But throwing the football, I think Zach Darlington is already there. I think he brings more to the table in the passing game fundamentally than Taylor Martinez does right this day.
Nice run by Isom, a gain of 4, and that looks to be good enough for a first down for Apopka. Now they say third down, so he's just short of the first down marker, 3rd and inches. Three-man rush here for Byrnes. They show blitz. Here comes the pressure. Darlington gets rid of it, incomplete in the direction of Jacob Whitrock. And on 4th and short, you got to assume Rick Darlington, Zach's father, Apopka's head coach, will decide to go.
Yeah, you can make a couple of assumptions. Yeah, they're going to go for it, and Chandler Cox is going to be around the football. Number 10 is in the backfield. They're actually going to use a timeout to talk about this. I think that kind of frames the importance of this down right here.
Fourth down. What's the call here, Kelly?
Well, your two best players on the field is the quarterback, Zach Darlington, running the football, but we don't know the nature of his injury. And so I would anticipate that Chandler Cox is going to have the football in some form.
High school kickoff weekend continues. We've got more games today at 3:30 Eastern. Lincoln, also from Florida, like Apopka, takes on South Gwinnett from Georgia. That's on ESPN. Over on ESPNU at 3:30. University Christian, another Florida school, taking on Highlands out of Kentucky. You can watch on ESPN, ESPNU, and of course the Watch ESPN app. Big fourth down here for Apopka as they try to cut into what is a 17-point lead for Byrnes. Darlington under center, twin tight ends. Isom right up the middle. He was playing that fullback role in that formation, and he picks up a first down, a gain of 7.
Yeah, Isom at 5'7", 170 was the up back and a fullback, and the big body Chandler Cox was actually the I back in that formation, and I think the nature of the play was deception, and obviously it worked really well.
Darlington gives it to Cox, sort of using that modified pistol that time, and that's a gain of 2. To the 26.
Yeah, one play that we see Nebraska run and we see Apopka run right here is the power read, where you get blocking down on the right side of the line of scrimmage. The guard pulls around and is going to target that linebacker. Taylor Reed reads the defensive end. Defensive end upfield. He steps inside, and we've seen Zach Darlington run this play successfully today. They went away from it, so I'm really bringing into question whether Darlington is actually healthy enough to run that play in the second half.
Well, you think about how Apopka scored, Kelly, and primarily it's been the big plays.
Yeah.
When they haven't had the big plays, save for that first drive, they've struggled to move the ball. On third down, Darlington floats one up, and it's incomplete. Whitrock couldn't hang on to it, so another fourth down attempt coming up for this Blue Darter offense.
And Jared Davis the linebacker on the outside getting incredibly quick penetration, and Darlington really couldn't step into that throw. Coming off the defensive end, you can see Jared Davis right there, and you can see Darlington kind of pulled off of that throw. When a quarterback does that, typically it's high and sails on it.
They moved Martez Ivy from the left side to the right side. They'll do that quite a bit. He's their big tackle. And Apopka calls a timeout, so they only have one left now here in this second half. 4th down and 5. Apopka, we're going to step aside. The Blue Darters have to find a way to trim what's a 17-point deficit. Alongside Kelly Stauffer and Ish Schroff, Byrnes has scored 25 straight points. They have a 17-point lead. Apopka facing a 4th down and 5. Home crowd starting to get into it as this could be maybe the ball game if Apopka can't convert, and now flags.
Party snap, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
And you could see Rick Darlington in that shot before where he was a little bit frustrated. They have a burn a timeout because they couldn't get lined up right. They come back out, and all the quarterback was doing is putting his guy in motion, and he has a lineman jump off sides. I think that's where you see the fatigue in this second half, and it's all showing up on Apopka's side of the field.
They're trying to get their line together. Remember, 3 new starters on that offensive line. On 4th and 10, Darlington fake the pass, big chase, has to get rid of it, incomplete. How about the Byrnes defense stepping up? Avery James leading the pursuit.
And that pressure that Mo Dixon said he was going to bring, the thing that you have to do if you're playing Apopka is you have to force the issue across the line of scrimmage because they want to run the ball to set up play-action passing, and that was actually a play-action pass on 4th in a long while.
You see right there, similar to a play that worked earlier in the game. Remember when he faked the pass, put the ball behind him? Ray Smith took it, ran 72 yards for a score.
So they were running the play-action pass off of that play. It was a little too much ball security or ball work in the back end right there.
Now Apopka needs his defense to make a stop. Isaiah Hill on 1st down. Strong run there. And it'll bring up 2nd and about 4 or 5.
And this is where Byrnes wants to rely on their renewed attention to the run game. When you want to run the clock a little bit, you have to be effective. And you saw the sweep right there to Isaiah Hill. This is what Byrnes could not do last season.
Hill once again, and he stood up right at the line of scrimmage. They haven't had the impact game they would have liked, but this is a very stout Apopka defensive front.
And that's what you saw in that play. The defensive tackles in Greathouse, number 43, and Anthony Ellis, 39, just didn't give him any running room up the middle of the field.
Bobby Bentley now with a third down call, 3rd and 6. Do you go to the air here?
Absolutely. I think the way Bentley knows the game and can get rid of it quickly, absolutely, you throw the ball right here.
Bentley rolls out. That's complete. And it's going to be short of the first down marker. Shaden Metters again. And now 4th down at about 35-yard line. You're looking at, what, 4th and 2?
And Bobby Bentley's a gambler, but I don't think he's going to gamble in this situation, although his offense is staying on the field at 4th and almost 3 yards to go.
I mean, you try to go for the knockout punch. Maybe that's the philosophy.
You really trust your son that happens to be the quarterback.
Unless it could be a ploy to maybe draw the defense off sides.
Exactly. Look for the hard count right here because Schuler Bentley is very good at that as well.
Play clock running down. And that's apparently all it was. Timeout Byrnes, their first timeout of the second half.
Their first charge timeout of the half.
I think that was well executed. You go ahead and you let your veteran quarterback, that's your son, try to draw the defense offside, and when the play clock is ticking down, you call timeout and not have to get penalized for that as well. I think very well executed.
Kelly is a former quarterback. What's impressed you the most about Schuler Bentley today?
Rhythm and timing. He gets rid of the ball so quickly. He knows where he's going with the ball, usually before he gets it in his hand, and then he throws such a good ball. I mean, it's beautiful to watch, but it's also coming out so fast.
4 touchdown passes in this game, 3 to Shaden Metters. You talked earlier, Kelly, he's a guy, if he has an ACC or SEC offer, maybe he's got to think about that commitment to Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Do you see a school from a conference like the ACC or SEC potentially seeing him as a starting quarterback?
I think it would be an absolute no-brainer if he was bigger. So at 6'1", what he has to overcome is that image of that prototypical 6'4" guy. He's obviously never going to do that, but he has to spend more time in the weight room and get bulked up a little bit as well.
Going forward on 4th down. Bentley on the run, and that's a first down to Richardson. How about poise? Let's throw that in the mix, too.
Yeah, and you can see him move outside the pocket right there, and we haven't talked about that, but you're exactly right. The poise and composure of Bentley. He moves just when he has to, gets outside the pocket, gets a cleaner picture of Richardson, and then once again throws an accurate ball. You can afford to take those kind of gambles when you're that confident in your son that's the quarterback.
Schuler slings it out to Hill. Isaiah Hill breaks the tackle, gets across midfield, and he's got another first down for Byrnes. You know, Bobby Bentley's got his son Schuler, his son Jake, who's going to be the starting quarterback next year. Schuler and Jake's older stepbrother, Chase Dodd, a quarterback at Rutgers.
They also have twin siblings, Emily and Brooks.
That's right.
On down the road, and Brooks is already a quarterback in the youth league, so there's more coming.
A little flea flicker. Bentley down the middle of the field, and he just overshot McCam.
Well executed, but what Bentley needed to do is actually lead McCam to the far hash. You put that ball up the field just a little bit too much. You can see right at the end, if the ball's at this near hash, that's a touchdown. Number 1, Robert Thomas was closing, but that ball would have gone over his head. One of the rare misfires on the day for Bentley.
19 of 32, 246 yards, and we haven't seen too much of this where Bentley comes under center. Out of the shotgun most of the day. As that's Hill running around left end. 3rd down coming up.
I think that's another indication that Byrnes wants to run some clock right here. And actually, Bobby Bentley told us that they're about 70% in gun, about 30% under the center as a change of pace. which seems strange to say, put your quarterback under the center as a change of pace, but that's where high school and college football has gone.
On third down, Bentley to the air, throwing, and it's incomplete, but a flag on the play. McCam was double covered, and it looked like he was bumped.
Yeah.
J.J. Simmons on coverage.
Yeah, I think you're right. J.J. Simmons is going to get called for pass interference, and quite frankly, I think it's a poor call. I think he was in great position. He's pressing through the receiver as he looks back for the ball. I don't think that's pass interference at all. Right there, perfect position. He may have grabbed him with that left hand a little bit, but I think it's a poor call. Great defense by J.J. Simmons.
It is first down after the penalty. Ball on the 28. Here's Hill running strong side. And he gets to about the 21-yard line. A gain of 8.
See,
second and short.
Excuse me. You can see the ability for Byrnes to run the football effectively when they need to, and Isaiah Hill is the difference. Last year they really didn't have a prototypical running back, but now Hill, with it 6 feet, over 200 pounds, breaks a lot of tackles, but he has the speed to get to the edge as well.
Bowen's now in the backfield. Bentley with the play flake. Throws one up, wide open receiver in the end zone, but it was caught out of the back of the end zone, so incomplete. Third down. Good pressure that time coming from Anthony Ellis up front.
Yeah, the quick play action pass, and then Ellis gets some early pressure, and Schuler Bentley, he really isn't a really mobile guy, but what he is he's smart with his movement within the pocket. When he has to slide a little bit to get a throw off, he's very, very efficient at it.
Tenth play of the drive coming up. Bowen's the running back. Bentley throws another touchdown. It's McCam, his second TD grab of the game.
We talked about McCam. It does such a nice job from that slot receiving position. Metters has been the target outside, but McCam is the target inside, and he releases, and then just really it's an inside fade going outside. It's the reverse of what Metters has caught some of his touchdowns on, but again, a good release by McCam results in a touchdown pass once again by Schuler Bentley, just simply throwing the right ball to the right guy.
Schuler Bentley threw a South Carolina state record 59 touchdown passes a season ago. 5 in his first game of 2013. 2 to McCam, 3 to Shaden Metters. 10 plays, 72 yards for Byrnes on that last drive, and Bentley continues to impress. The Gatorade Player of the Year in South Carolina last season, and you look at the history of Byrnes football, they've had a couple of 2-time Gatorade Player of the Years, a couple of pretty good high school players. Marcus Lattimore one, Willie Korn the other.
Bentley continues to play like he's coming out of the box this year in 2013. I mean, there's no reason he can't do that and be that same guy. I'm so impressed with him. And the thing he has to overcome is that prototypical, this is what your quarterback has to look like unless you're a dual threat guy, and he's not.
Don't forget, tomorrow night on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball, David Ortiz and the Red Sox take on Yasiel Puig and the Dodgers. It was a little more than a year ago. Boston and LA made that blockbuster trade, and then Monday at 7, a battle for position in the NL Central. Joey Votto and the Reds take on Matt Holliday and the Cardinals. Both games on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. (44-20). Byrnes on top of Apopka. Isom faked the handoff. He still has it across the 30. There's the speed into Byrnes territory, and there goes Daquan Isom. 44 yards, a kick return for a touchdown, and boy, did Apopka need that in the worst way.
Yeah, about the time we were thinking that last drive took all the remaining life out of Apopka when Byrnes just went on this methodical march. And once again, a big special teams play shows up in the game and keeps Apopka alive. The fake reverse on that kick return. What you have to do is, if you're the coverage team, is just stay in your lanes. Be disciplined and stay in your lanes, and that fake reverse really got Byrnes' coverage team out of position.
Third touchdown of the game for Daquan Isom. And he's showed his diverse skill set, able to do it in the receiving game, in the running game, and now on special teams.
Yeah, he actually, I mean, he brings everything to the table except size.
On the defense. Half the distance, retry.
You know, 5'7", 170. He has the speed to play at the next level for sure. He's a really good receiver out of the backfield, and he's very, very dynamic on special teams as well.
He ran for close to 800 yards last season, backing up Jervik Blocker. Had 2 touchdowns in the state title game. And Apopka on the 2-point try gets it, so it's 44-28.
We can see here that Isom gets the ball, and he's going to fake it to Ray Smith on the reverse. And what you should be doing coverage-wise is stay in your lanes until you identify where the football is. And then Isom, it's that speed. That's a kicker right there. That's not going to happen. And then the speed to take it to the house. What a big play. That at least keeps hope alive if you're Apopka.
Yeah, we told you earlier, Isom related to Jeff Demps, the former track star and football player at Florida, now in the NFL.
There was some track going on right there with Isom.
They call him Day Day, and that was daylight for Day Day. And Apopka needed that because offensively they have not been able to move the ball against this Byrnes defense. Their previous 4 possessions, the Blue Darters managed a grand total of 44 yards. So you never know, you get a big special team spark. It was special teams and the lyrics clue 91-yard kick return that really sparked Byrnes.
Yeah, and it may be a little bit too obvious, but if I'm Byrnes' coverage team right here, I'm certainly looking onside kick, and Apopka seems to be lining up for, it's really their normal alignment, but it's conducive to an onside kick every time if they want to do it. You can see Byrnes' coverage is adjusting to that side of the field accordingly.
There it is, but Byrnes has it.
Very smart play by number 49, Charlie Martin. What Charlie Martin did is he went up and got the football before it could get 10 yards. And remember, the kickoff team has to let it, before they touch it, has to let it get 10 yards. Charlie Martin took it at about 8 yards. Very smart play by him. I think that might have been a little bit too premature for an onside kick attempt.
Still 31 seconds to go here in the third quarter, and now Byrnes will start in Apopka territory. Play action. Bentley over the middle into double coverage, and that's intercepted. Robert Thomas picks it off. And Thomas takes it back up to the 44-yard line. So you can't start a fire without a spark. Apopka, a little bit of a spark, a special teams touchdown, now an interception.
And I think more than thrown into double coverage, I think that he overthrew Taven Richardson, which is going underneath on what they call a deep over route with Metters over the top. It was hard to tell which one he was throwing to, but I think because of his ability to throw the ball so accurately, I think he just overthrew his intended receiver, Taven Richardson.
Empty backfield. It's Cox. He's going to throw back to Darlington, and he throws it out of bounds. That's going to be a fumble.
Double lateral, throw it back to your QB, and I don't know if he was going to run it or throw it.
Is it a little too cute?
I think
we've tried a few things where...
Absolutely. I think the onside kick is only a good thought in the third quarter is if it's a deceptive one. I don't think you line up and shout, we're going to kick it onside, and then that's just a little bit too cute as well. But what it does, the onside kick and that play, it says I don't have a lot of confidence in my offense driving the football, and they haven't driven the football lately.
Now they've got a 2nd and 22 after a 12-yard loss. How about Isom? Daquan Isom, a big gain, a first down and more down inside the 35-yard line to the 31. A 34-yard run, so Daquan Isom has given Apopka a little bit of life. Byrnes, though, had scored 30 unanswered points. Apopka answered with a kick return for a touchdown, driving again the fourth quarter when we come back. Apopka down 2 scores on the final play of the third quarter. We saw why Martez Ivey is one of the most coveted linemen who's a junior for a lot of college football teams.
We know his size at 6'6", 285, but it has added his athleticism that has so many people excited. You can see him wrapping around right there and just pancaking Emil Lyles, number 44, and springing Isom for that big play. That's why Tom Luganville and his compadres are so excited about this young man. He will be a tremendous player at the highest level.
The number 6 player in the ESPN Junior 300. Here's Daquan Isom, and that time he's devoured in the backfield. Back at the 40-yard line, Emil Lyles with the tackle.
Well, Emil Lyles didn't take kindly to being pancaked by Martez Ivey the play before, so he runs through the hole this time and just blows up the blocking before it can get in place. A big negative play. We'll see if Apopka can overcome that type of play.
Darlington under pressure. Throws on the run, and it's incomplete. There is a flag back at the 47-yard line.
This flag came late, and it came on the opposite side of the play. And I don't know if it was extracurricular behind the play, because it didn't appear that Darlington was beyond the line of scrimmage on that play either.
Injured Apopka player at the 21-yard line being attended to by trainers.
There's been a fair share of chippiness here in this second half. I think players are getting fatigued. They're getting tired.
That's Isom.
They're getting a little owly, but you're right. That's Isom that was hurt on that play.
Sideline warning on Byrnes.
All right.
That's something you see all the time, yeah. 3rd down and 19. Here's the blitz. Darlington throws over the middle, complete to the 29-yard line. And another penalty marker. This could be roughing the passer.
That's exactly what it's going to be, roughing the passer on Lyles number 2. And great throw by Darlington. Drove it into coverage. Receiver went up and got it, but the late hit is going to give them a first down.
Roughing the passer on the defense. Half the distance, first down.
That was the safety blitz.
Yep. Tariq Lyles is the safety in there and just hit him late. But an impressive throw by Darlington, and I don't think I'm overstating this. That's what Darlington can do that you don't see consistently out of Taylor Martinez, even going into his senior year in college. So I think if they build on that technique and fundamental throwing, Darlington is going to be a player for Nebraska.
Chandler Cox in the backfield. Darlington throws. He wants 6. Incomplete over the head of Ray Smith. Now, we have not seen Darlington. We've seen him move around in the pocket, but outside of the first quarter, we really haven't seen him run the football a ton, and maybe that has something to do with him getting dinged up late in that first half.
I think that's a great point, and that Apopka wants to run the football first, but on top of that, they want Darlington to be the primary carrier of the football. Now, the emergence of Isom may change that a little bit going forward, but they want Darlington to be able to carry the ball, and you're right, he hasn't carried it since halftime.
4 rushes, 4 yards. He had more than 700 rush yards last season, and another penalty marker blows this play dead.
Grossman on the defense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
And Anish, can you see that the penalties have skyrocketed in the second half when these players are getting tired? It is hot and humid here, and as they get fatigued, sometimes you think less about what you're supposed to be doing.
And Byrnes has to be careful. You let the foot off the gas against a team like Apopka.
Great point.
They can get into it. You saw the kick return for a touchdown, the interception. Now a chance to make it a 1-possession game.
They had to come back in that state championship game and win that shootout.
And another penalty. A lot of yellow laundry on the field.
Well, what they're trying to do, Apopka is moving. Isom is the one in motion, but Ivy is actually split wide.
Snap. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2.
Ivy is out actually in the slot right here. That's 6'6", 285. Just trying to give the defense a different look, but that's also the side they were going to run to. Isom was in motion to run behind the big guy out in the slot. I said he was an athlete, but that might be pushing it a little bit. There he goes again.
Yeah, how about that big 77, eligible receiver.
6'6", 285. If I'm a DB, I'm calling timeout.
Darlington, he'll keep this one. And he gets close to the 10-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Well, and Anish, the other thing with Darlington, if I have big boy outside,
who's blocking?
I have to get out there. I don't run up inside when my big guy is out in the slot. And Darlington, whatever you have to do at all costs, if we've split number 77 outside to the right, I get outside to the right. Now Ivy, they've just basically flipped the formation. He's here now.
Here's the pressure. Darlington escapes. Throws in the end zone. No signal, and now they signal a touchdown. James Kreider hauls it in. We got a ball game, Kelly Stauffer.
And that's where you saw Zach Darlington's dual threat ability. There was reason to get outside the pocket that time, and he had to outrun some early pressure, did Zach Darlington. And then the throw, moving away from the receiver and to throw that ball to Kreider in the end zone. And Kreider made a great catch. That was good coverage. Kreider, the tight end at 6 feet, 175 pounds, had to snatch that one out of the air.
Kreider, a very good athlete, also runs track. And he's got himself a touchdown. And if Apopka can convert on this two-point conversion, they've got a chance to make it a one-possession game. Big two-point conversion coming up, and another penalty.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a substitution infraction by Apopka. They couldn't decide, and I guess the guilty party just ran to the sideline.
On the deep offense. 5-yard penalty, still try.
5-yard, continue the try.
Velasquez, number 42, was the guy that apparently wasn't supposed to be in there, because when they called the penalty, he went off the field in a hurry.
9 penalties now against Apopka. This makes the two-point try tougher. Jump pass that time for Darlington. Batted down, but there is a late flag. Lyles knocked it down. Make it Lyrics Clue got his hand on it.
Pass interference. On the defense. Half the distance to go. Retry.
You called it exactly right. The Tim Tebow jump pass.
That's what it was.
All the action was run to the right, and then Darlington just rose up and tried to get the ball over the top.
So they'll try the two-point conversion again. Take 3. Snap is to Cox, right up the middle. Into the end zone, conversion good. We've got ourselves a one-possession game.
And I said on that play before, it was Zach Darlington. Obviously, the two-point conversion, it's our guy Chandler Cox in the game again.
16 unanswered for Apopka. Plenty of time left, 10-13 to go. These two teams separated by just a score. Back and forth, the pendulum goes. Byrnes had scored 30 unanswered to take a 44-20 lead. And Apopka has come back with 16 straight. Here we are, 44-36, your score. Apopka kicking off after a Zach Darlington touchdown pass to James Kreider and a successful two-point conversion. They went for an onside kick last time. Does Rick Darlington roll the dice and do it again?
Well, this would be the kind I would do if I was going to onside kick. I don't anticipate it here, but the time before, it would be a deceptive onside kick. I wouldn't have lined up and showed everyone what I was doing.
A squib kick. Fielded by Byrnes, and Byrnes will start at the 37-yard line. Now this game has swung quite a bit thanks to special teams. Lyric's clue, a 91-yard kick return for Byrnes, and that really spurred a 30 unanswered point run for the Rebels. A block punt, a part of that, and then Schuler Bentley, a couple of TDs to Shaden Metters.
Yeah, we've really seen it all. You see right here, Isom fakes the reverse on the kickoff and then takes it to the house. And just when we thought Apopka was going to die, Zach Darlington throws a dart. Kreider takes it away in the end zone. Very well played by both of these teams.
And that one nearly intercepted again. So Bentley throwing on first down, and it goes through his receiver's hands for an incomplete pass.
On that 30-point unanswered barrage by Byrnes, I thought Apopka got tired and got mentally out of whack just a little bit, but they seem to have regained their composure, and now it's Byrnes that you see making those unforced errors by that drop ball.
Good pressure that time from the front three. A fumble. Apopka says they have it, and they do.
Well, Anish, what happens when you get tired? Sometimes you forget about the little things that make up this game, and looking the ball into your hands, drop the ball. Ball security as a running back. The ball gets raked out. Isaiah Hill right there, and then the hard hit on the spin. And it was actually Jackson, Eric Jackson, 98, as Isaiah Hill made that spin move, which we've seen him make today. He gets blasted by Jackson at 230, right under the chin strap.
Jackson, part of that fierce and stout defensive front for Apopka. He's a three-star recruit with offers from Charlotte and Texas State. Play action. Darlington steps up. He'll now tuck it and run. And Darlington out of bounds at the 29-yard line.
That's Taylor Martinez right there.
I'll say this, we are in South Carolina, the home of Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, exactly. How many times have you seen that, though, when there's a quick transition offense after turnover, you try to throw it down the field, nothing is there, and then what? Your dual threat guy has to make something happen on his own. I've seen Taylor Martinez do that so many times, make something out of nothing. That was Zach Darlington on that play.
Remember that run against Wisconsin in the Big 12 championship game. Isom. That's a nice pickup. He looks to have, now he looks to be about a yard short of a first down. Looks like he may have had it.
I think there's cramping up going on right now, as you probably see that out of Isom. He has had a great game, but some big plays in this heat, it just absolutely drains the tank.
Trainers attending to Isom.
Prototypical cramp in the calf is to get that toe back to the body, and they're trying like heck to do that, but it isn't working as of yet.
High school kickoff weekend continues tonight. First at 7 Eastern, Booker T. Washington, the #1 team in the land, takes on Norcross out of Georgia. They're ranked 6th overall. That's on ESPN at 9 Eastern on the U. Bonneville and Bingham. And then at 10 Eastern on ESPN2, Central against Valor Christian. California beats Colorado. All games available on the Watch ESPN app. Booker T. Washington and Norcross, those teams loaded with talent, loaded with stars. Chad Thomas, one of the top defensive ends, committed to Miami, and Lorenzo Carter, also a great pass rusher.
Not enough ISO cameras to go around in that game.
You know, I'll tell you what, though, you look at the recent trend of recruiting the top players. Robert Kimdichie, Mario Edwards, Ronald Powell, Jadeveon Clowney. What's the common denominator? All of them can rush the passer. Nice run that time by Cox, and he picks up a first down for Apopka as they try.
And this is where a Apopka up front is just getting lathered up. That was right behind, eventually behind our guy Martez Ivy off to the left side, and Cox was the up back in that I formation, and then just a quick handoff underneath, and then it's just all about who wants it after that.
Cox the up back in the power I. He gets the call. Cox barreling through the line, and it's 1st and goal, Apopka.
This is a matter of attrition up front right now. Apopka's style is to just impose their physical will in the run game. We didn't really see it up until about the last 5 minutes in this game, and now it's all of a sudden about getting Ivy and the other guys up front lathered up and giving it to Chandler Cox and just letting them pound that smaller defensive front seven upside the head of Byrnes.
You said earlier you don't care if Cox has a position, you want him on your team at the next level.
Yeah, don't be it's not unexpected to then flip the formation again and run the same play. They've run it twice in a row, 3 times in a row, worked fine.
Well, we got a timeout with 8:26 to go. When we come back, our Apopka got a pretty special shout out during Hall of Fame induction week.
This game is so great. There's nothing else I know and love. It's taken me from a dirt road to heights I've never even seen, and now to a gold jacket. Oh my goodness. Apopka, the indoor foliage capital of the world. APK, the Blue Darters. Yeah, baby, we here. Yes, we are.
Apopka alum Warren Sapp inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. He played linebacker, tight end, place kicker, and punter at Apopka. On 1st and goal, nothing doing for the Blue Darters there. There's a lot of red in the backfield, a loss of 5, 2nd down and goal.
And what we would expect is Mo Dixon, the defensive coordinator at Byrnes, is turning up the heat. Remember how this game played out for really 3.5 quarters. Byrnes was taking the fight across the line of scrimmage. The last couple possessions, Apopka's offensive line was getting lathered up. First penetration we've seen out of Byrnes in a long, long while.
Daquan Eisen back in the game. He split wide. Darlington on the run, lowers the shoulder, and he's out of bounds right at the line of scrimmage. 3rd down and goal from the 12. What's Byrnes doing to kind of keep Darlington in the pocket and not really get loose for big runs?
Well, I think it might be more to do with Darlington. I don't think he's really feeling himself. But I think Byrnes has done a nice job of just realizing he gets outside the pocket, but just don't let him get positive yardage once he gets there.
Here's the pressure. Darlington throws too high, incomplete. He wanted Whitrock, but there is a flag. Flag down at the 11-yard line.
I think Martez Ivy may be the culprit here. Illegal man downfield, and it looked like Ivy got off the line of scrimmage just a little bit before that ball was released, but that had to happen awfully quickly. That play didn't take a long time to develop. Usually it's when a quarterback is running around.
And that was man downfield on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Wow, that's hard to believe as quickly as that ball came out. If they were pointing toward Ivy on that play.
Apopka 1 for 2 on 4th down. Down by 8. Byrnes blitzes. Darlington under pressure. Gets rid of it. And over the head of Isom, there is a penalty marker at the 20-yard line. It's on Apopka, so Byrnes will take over on downs.
Holding on the offense. Penalty is declined. 1st down.
I think that holding was actually on Martez Ivy. He was the left tackle that time, and Byrnes was bringing the house. Mo Dixon was dialing up pressure in an obvious passing situation. And you can see Ivy is right there. Extra defenders coming. He tries to slide out to get that blitzer, and he just gets him up around the collar. A.J. James was actually the outside linebacker coming off the edge, and Ivy gets him around the collar and gets called for the hold.
Schuler-Bentley calls a timeout. Byrnes has one left. Apopka all out of timeouts with 7:38 to go in regulation. ESPN's coverage of high school kickoff weekend continues at 3:30 Eastern. That's following our game on ESPN. It's Lincoln and South Gwinnett. Also at 3:30 over on ESPNU. University Christian takes on Highlands out of Kentucky. High school football on ESPN this season. 13 regular season games on the ESPN networks. Tune into Recruiting Nation Thursdays at 6 Eastern. Starting September 6th on ESPNU, and then January 2nd, it's the Under Armour High School All-America game. That has been a premier showcase for prep talent on its way to the next level.
If those games end up being anything like what we've seen today, I mean, the level of talent and precision in which these guys play at the high school level is really, really impressive.
And certainly we see it in Florida. It is a recruiting hotbed perennially.
Florida and Texas. You hear about them all the time, and certainly they're at the top of that list.
Four wide receiver set. Byrnes throws on 1st down, and Hill taken down right at the 10-yard line by Johnny Robinson, a loss of a yard. So it'll bring up 2nd down and 11. And you wonder, Byrnes, how much do they trust the running game in this situation?
Yeah, this is where the running game is supposed to show up. That emphasis in camp on the run game, but instead they're going gun and throwing it. But remember, before this year, the screen game is Burns' run game.
Sure.
They throw it very efficiently, especially with Schuler-Bentley at quarterback.
They'll keep it on the ground. Isaiah Hill slips one defender in the backfield, turns, spins, and knocked out of bounds to the 17-yard line. 3rd down coming up.
Dalen Jones did a really nice job from his tackle position of getting out in front of Isaiah Hill, trying to get out around the right side, but run the ball effectively to milk the clock when you have to if you're a spread team. That's what a lot of spread to throw it teams lack. That's what Byrnes is trying to work on right here.
Byrnes 6 of 14 on 3rd down. Make it 6 of 15. No flag on the play, to the dismay of this crowd.
I think Metters that time really lost his footing. He was just running a hitch route. It was pretty tight coverage by J.J. Simmons, and we've seen that match up a lot today. And it looked like the feet went out from under Metters just as he's ready to catch this ball. You can see he's already down to a knee, and J.J. Simmons maybe got there a little bit early, but personally I'm glad that that play wasn't called. Receiver has to keep his feet. Don't bail him out if he falls down by calling pass interference.
And there's a player down, and that appears to be Simmons. It is Simmons.
Simmons was in on that coverage the play before, broke on the ball, maybe slightly prematurely, but I think a good play all the way around. But once again, the heat has taken its toll. We see the cramping right there by J.J. Simmons.
Simmons being tended to by the trainers, and number 7, Rakeem Smith. It's been a tall order for this Apopka secondary to go up against, Taven Richardson, who's 6'4", 210, and Shaden Metters, who's 6'2", 180. Their guys run 5'7", 5'6". Simmons is 5'7", Smith's 5'6". Robert Thomas is a power forward on that secondary team at 5'10".
Yeah, no doubt about that. Apopka likes to play coverage on the back end, a lot of zone. What they've adjusted to is reading the routes of Byrnes and breaking on balls in the zone much better than they were the first half.
Big punt here. Byrnes gets it off. Ray Smith will have a chance for a return. He muffs it, and he covers it back up at the 30-yard line. There's a flag back at the 45-yard line.
Anish, your guess is as good as mine right here.
It's on Apopka.
Apopka was holding the bullet guy outside in Byrnes' coverage.
Zach Darlington in the state championship game last year with his team down. Rallied his team.
Ready, return. 10-yard penalty from end of the kick. First down.
Apopka trying to rally again here, and it started with this. Daquan Isom, 94 yards on a kickoff return. That was followed by an interception, which led to his score. Zach Darlington finding James Kreider, then off of a fumble. That turned into another touchdown for the Blue Darters of Apopka. Here's Cox up the middle, running strong, and he's down to the 35-yard line, a gain of 14.
That was the same play that was working well in the last drive. Cox is really in the fullback position in that I formation, and then it's a quick dive play, knowing right now that Apopka is winning on the line of scrimmage. And if history repeats itself, flip the formation and run it again. Ivy's now to the right side up here, and that's who they're liking to run behind, the big boy to that side. I would expect same play, opposite side.
Cox again, the up back, this time a play action fake. Darlington on the run, and then driven out of bounds with authority by Lyles. Second down and 12 after a loss of 2.
Emil Lyles came up and just laid the wood to quarterback Zach Darlington. It was a boot play outside right, very well covered by Byrnes, but Zach Darlington went down hard and hasn't really moved a whole lot since then. Very clean play, very hard hit. But remember the conditions we're playing in. These players are highly fatigued at this point in time.
Darlington took a big hit.
Very legal. Darlington was actually lowering his head and became a runner at that point in time. There was no targeting with the crown of the helmet or anything like that. Certainly wasn't a defenseless player on the field, which is the other category of targeting. Clean hit.
Down.
Hopefully he'll get up shortly.
He's down, the team attending to him, and that's just not something you want to see. Zach Darlington, a 4-star recruit, committed to Nebraska, number 11 dual threat quarterback in the nation, and right now they're bringing out a stretcher. So scary moment on the field with 6:03 to go in the fourth quarter. Apopka trailing Byrnes 44-36. We'll step aside and be back after this.
Welcome into our Charlotte studio here. Jeffrey Williams and Lincoln High School out of Florida getting ready to take on South Gwinnett. That game in Norcross, Georgia. Williams, a verbal commitment to Louisville. That's on ESPN. And then over on ESPNU in moments, University Christian out of Florida featuring Josh Allen, who is a future Tar Heel, taking on Highland High School in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. So those two games coming up, one on ESPN, one over on ESPNU. Tom Luganville here with me. And scary right now, quite frankly, as Zach Darlington, for Apopka High School quarterback, commitment to Nebraska, is being taken off on a stretcher. This is not what you want.
No, it's not, and it's not what you want, especially if you're a parent and a coach who happens to be a parent, as we have in this situation with Coach Darlington. It's his son, of course, Zach Darlington, who is the quarterback. His other son, his older son, Ty Darlington, is in the offensive line at the University of Oklahoma right now. Zach, of course, verbally committed to Nebraska. And with the premium that we are now seeing at all levels of football, high school, collegiate, and the professional ranks, for safety, helmet-to-helmet contact, how we see blows delivered, is there malicious intent, all of those sorts of things now in relationship to how the rules are being revamped to hopefully enhance player safety. This is one of those situations where there was not malicious intent, Dari. There was a good football play. Quarterback became a runner, gets to the sideline in Zach Darlington. The Byrnes defender comes. It's a good head-to-head collision there right along the sideline, but it's very clear that Zach Darlington is down right now and with what looks to be a pretty serious injury.
Yeah, we're going to get you back to South Carolina for the end of that game in just a few minutes, but I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it here as players from both teams still kneeling on the field, emotion all over the place, a very scary moment. His teammates from Apopka all gathered around one another, praying at the moment. We will keep you posted on what's going on there. A very bad note right here from what is really a very big weekend of high school football on the ESPN networks. Still to come, you're going to see a little bit later Lorenzo Carter, the number 3 defensive end who's undeclared, coming up at 7 Eastern time. Sony Michel, Erman Lane, who we saw out in Oregon at the Nike event, who is a Florida commit, but great wide receiver out of Florida there. You're going to see, again, some of these players and plenty more throughout the day.
Well, I think it's such a great year in the state of Florida for running backs. You've got Sony Michel, who we'll be showcasing later.
Yeah.
You've got Joseph Yearby, also a premier player at the running back position, right now verbally committed to the University of Miami. Dalvin Cook, verbally committed to the University of Florida. A great year at the running back position. Then you referenced Erman Lane, most recently committed to Florida. If you're a Florida Gator fan, that's an important verbal commitment, because of the need for wide receivers. Demarcus Robinson out of the 2013 class, likely expected to start for the Gators as a true freshman. They're going to have needs. Andre DeBose tore his ACL. He's out for this fall. So the lack of playmakers in a depleted position for the Florida Gators gets enhanced with the verbal commitment of Ermon Lane.
Yeah, that's a big one. They had a big day, actually.
They did.
3 verbal commits in one day about a couple of weeks back.
Chris Lemons and Quincy Wilson.
Yeah, for Will Muschamp and the Florida Gators, who continue to recruit awfully well. Again, Norcross coming up at 7 o'clock, and that features Lorenzo Carter, who we talked about a little bit earlier, but a defensive end, number 11 overall prospect, number 3 defensive end. What is that young man all about? What will he bring somebody?
Is going to bring a lot of trouble off the edge. Very difficult to handle one-on-one. You know, one of those types of guys that when you break the huddle, you better know where he's lined up. You better have a plan for him. And I also believe, though, he's the type of guy that has a very high ceiling for development because he doesn't weigh a lot right now. He's close to 6'6", about 230 pounds. He's going to be in the 270 range here in the next few years, and that will completely revamp his game as it relates to stopping the run, anchoring at the point of attack. He's going to always have to be conscious of pad level because he is so tall. He's long-armed, has all the physical attributes coaches want to have in a rush end. That's why he's such a hot commodity in this class. Top 10 overall player, top 11 overall player in the ESPN 300 and third-ranked defensive end.
We're going to get you back to South Carolina in just a moment. Again, Apopka quarterback Zach Darlington being taken off the field right now on a stretcher. We will keep you posted on anything we hear. Meanwhile, Corey Keel coming up here, Lincoln against South Gwinnett. Game in Norcross. That game coming up on ESPN, and then over on ESPNU, University Christian in Highland, Kentucky, and that's Hussein Howe, as you can see, coming up for University Christian. So 2 games coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get you back to South Carolina in a moment.
Welcome back to Duncan, South Carolina with Kelly Stauffer and Ish Schroff. Apopka and Byrnes, what happens from here on out essentially has been rendered meaningless. Before we cut away, Apopka quarterback Zach Darlington was hit on a sideline play. It was a clean hit. There was no flag. What happened after has all of us holding our breaths. Darlington went down, stayed down, did not show any signs of movement. He was carted off the field. He was given oxygen through that mask. He's being taken off to another field now where there's an ambulance waiting, and if need be, there's access for a medical helicopter. Chandler Coxon at quarterback, and he picks up a couple of yards. And Kelly, you see something like that, it just kind of warps you back into what's reality and what you risk every time, whether you're an NFL athlete, a college athlete, or a high school athlete, or a Pee Wee football athlete, every time you strap on those pads and helmets.
Well, the surreal moment comes when the game starts again. You know, when the game isn't over, and so these young men have to go out there and try to do the best they can for the rest of this game. That's when it just doesn't seem to make sense to you as a player, as something goes on when your best friend and your quarterback just left the field in a condition unknown. And what's ironic about it is all what Tom Luganville talked about, all of the rules changes trying to address player safety, and then some of the most basic plays happen like that. That happens all the time in football. There are just some things in football that you can't take out of the game, and that was an example of it. Zach seemed fairly protected as we see the fake punt right here, snapping to the up back, and didn't obviously deceive Byrnes' defense. And
one official just told me an update on Darlington's condition. When he was down on the sideline, he never opened his eyes, and he was never moving before being carted off, and he was given oxygen through that mask to help him breathe on his own. And you think of the dynamic for Apopka head coach Rick Darlington. That's his son.
Yeah.
Think about your thoughts are with your son. You can't be there. You've got to coach this football game or see it through its completion. I can only imagine the internal conflict in Rick Darlington right now.
Yeah, that's one of the abnormalities in the conversation about that relationship we talked with Tom Luganville. You can't prepare for that moment when you're right there and you have to continue coaching, and your son is, you know, in a condition that makes it hard for this game to go on.
You know, we wish the Darlington family all the best. We hope Zach is okay. He's got an older brother, Ty, who's at Oklahoma. His mom, Shelly. Of course, his dad, Rick, his head coach, and certainly on the other sideline, Bobby Bentley can empathize. He's got two sons playing quarterback. He saw his younger son, Jake, get injured early in the game and not return. Isaiah Hill to the 20-yard line, a first down for Byrnes.
It obviously changes the dynamics of what we're talking about. This has been an extremely entertaining and well-played high school.
What happens now is pointless.
Yeah.
It really is. You got a kid who wasn't opening his eyes and wasn't moving on the sideline. Flag on the play again if you're just joining us.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense.
Penalty on Byrnes if you're just joining us. Moments ago, Apopka quarterback Zach Darlington went down on the far sideline, stayed down after the play, was not moving, did not open his eyes. He was carted off the field. There's a medical ambulance at a side field just south of the stadium, and that area is equipped for a medical helicopter. We're told that is a possibility. We have not been told if indeed a medical helicopter will come down to take Zach Darlington, but it was a scary moment and still is a scary moment for all parties involved, the players, the fans, us here in the booth.
It's interesting as a player that, you know, the injuries are a part of the game. They say that all the time, but when it's an injury like that, it moves to a different level.
Especially at this level.
Yeah, at this level, and it's a hard thing to recover from emotionally, and that's what you see right now. These players are just trying to get to the end of this game.
Coming up on 3 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter, 44-36, Byrnes leading Apopka. Byrnes at a 44-20 lead. Apopka had scored 16 unanswered to get back into the game.
And no doubt that Nebraska, as Zach Darlington has a verbal commit, and Bo Pelini and his staff in some form were tuned into this game, and to see that happen, they're probably scrambling to get more information as we speak as well. And I can still see to the right of us outside of the stadium that Zach Darlington is still being attended to kind of underneath the makeshift tent. So I'm not exactly sure they've made a decision on what to do with transportation.
That was my man downfield. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Chopper is now coming in, a medical helicopter to take Zach Darlington, the Apopka quarterback in Nebraska. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his dad, Rick, who's on that Apopka sideline. Another touchdown for Byrnes, 6th TD pass of the game for Schuler Bentley.
I really can't believe the scene, to be honest with you. We showed a shot of the helicopter, and the game continues, and I'm not warranting just saying, hey, 2 minutes and 29 seconds doesn't matter, but 2 minutes and 29 seconds doesn't matter. Both of these coaches talk about how football is just a vehicle to teach life lessons, and this lesson is a really, really difficult one to hear. Injury in this game is never too far away. You know that as a player, but when it happens in this form, it just strikes you somewhere you're not prepared for.
All we can tell you right now about Zach Darlington, we have confirmed that he is conscious when he was carted off the field. He was not moving and his eyes were closed, but we are told he is conscious right now and is going to be airlifted from the field. That is the further extent of the information we have at this point.
And obviously the medical staff, you always err on the side of caution anyway. And so, Lord willing, that's what we're seeing. But nonetheless, it's just a surreal moment to watch unfold.
Now we have some good news. We're being told he was knocked unconscious, is now moving on his own. So that is a big relief to a lot of us worried about the status of Zach Darlington, the senior quarterback for Apopka.
That is awesome news, absolutely.
.229 to go here in regulation. Outcome all but decided and entirely secondary. You played quarterback, Kelly. What goes through your mind when you see something like that?
It's tough to see, to be quite honest with you. I haven't been in that position. I've been, the concussions issue and all of that, but I've never actually been knocked unconscious on the football field, and had players that had, teammates that have.
As a quarterback, how much do you think about things like that?
It's amazing how you typically have the ability to put it completely out of your mind. And what's ironic is Zach Darlington is we talked about at the top, he's a quintessential dual threat guy. And he was outside the pocket, where guys like that have that ability, which I never did, they're more comfortable out there than they are in the pocket most of the time. And it was in many ways a routine hit, but you recall that nothing in this game is really routine. It just doesn't happen very often.
Final 2 minutes in regulation. Zach Darlington right now being loaded into the helicopter. Again, he was knocked unconscious. He has since regained consciousness and is moving. That is the latest update. Short gain for Cox. Byrnes on its way to improving to 14-3 against out-of-state opponents since 2002. But again, we're glad that Zach Darlington is moving and is conscious as a helicopter is about to airlift him off of a side field.
And Zach is a tough dude. I mean, the state championship a year ago highlights that. He had a high ankle sprain in the second round of the state playoffs. He broke his wrist on his throwing hand.
Isom breaks the tackle, still on his feet, taken down at the 22-yard line. Less than a minute to play.
And Zach played through that broken wrist kind of with a soft cast, and they go on to win this improbable, unbelievable state championship game, 53-50, and he had one of the games of his life.
Yeah, he threw for 254 yards in that game, ran for another 125, 2 TDs through the air, and engineered a 13-play, 80-yard drive to give Apopka the 2012 Class A state title. Chandler Cox runs it up the middle, and that should be the final play of this game. I know Rick Darlington, the head coach for Apopka, probably wants to get to his son as soon as he can. Byrnes with an impressive win. And for Apopka, we pray a speedy recovery is in store for their senior quarterback, Zach Darlington. The helicopter is taking Zach Darlington from the field. If you're just joining us, the Apopka quarterback was knocked unconscious. He is conscious now, and he is moving. His dad, Rick, is the Apopka head coach. Final score from Duncan, South Carolina, and Nixon Field: Byrnes 51, Apopka 36. For Kelly Stauffer, I'm Anish Shroff, and we hope Zach Darlington gets better fast. Coming up next here on ESPN, the high school football showcase continues. It's Lincoln against South Gwinnett. Matt Stinchcomb and Clay Matvick on the call.